Hey guys, it's Ben
And Vincent.
and Spencer, and welcome to the Hooligans podcast.
Today we are joined by a very special guest, as you guys heard earlier, the one, the only, Spencer.
Also known as Spiteman, as we formerly called him.
Not a single person calls me that.
Well,
Everyone
we
calls
had a
you
code name
Spiteman.
for you. We have a code name for
Yeah,
everyone, so
yeah.
no
Uh-huh.
one could
We
learn
give
who you
people
are.
aliases.
I
We
gotcha,
don't
I
we don't
gotcha.
dox people on this podcast. You go to other podcasts for that stuff.
Yeah, so to start off with, how about you tell the audience who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Spencer, as introduced. I am studying to become one of three things. I am undecided yet, either an astrophysicist, nuclear physicist, or a quantum gravity, but is
Damn,
the subfield of astrophysics, but particle science is the other thing I'm considering right now. I go
smart
to,
cookie.
yeah, smart's pushing it, but
I think smart's an understatement. I think freaking ingenious with how that sounded. That is.
We did take a lot of AP classes back in high school, so he is definitely a smart person.
those were fun, except chemistry. Chemistry was fun for the most part, but the titration stuff got old really, really quick when we did it for a semester.
Yeah, I'd say AP chemistry was the hardest AP
Oh,
class
for
out
sure.
of all AP classes
No, I
probably.
struggle with that the most. I don't even want to know how hard AP Bio would have been when you get into like molecular biology. I know Orion wanted to take AP Bio. That would have been fun to hear about.
Yeah, I've been hearing people say the same exact thing that AP Chem is just absolute hell.
It's a lot of. I think the thing that makes it so difficult is you've got a bunch of these equations you have to memorize, but it's not just like a one size fits all thing. You gotta be able to recognize where to use which equation.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Some of the equations are super useful. I use them. I like using math to make heck it, recreations of stuff in Minecraft at 1 to 1 or 1/3 scale and stuff. And
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, AP chemistry is fun because you get to do a lot of experiments, but besides that, like knowing when and where to use the equations makes it pretty difficult, in my opinion. So
yeah, blowing shit up with sodium was fun.
yeah.
Or yes.
So relating to the Fernando episode, Spencer, what's your opinion on oxen having the same rights as us humans?
This is a
A little
heated
bit of a
topic.
Oh yeah,
controversial question there.
glorious animals are getting the recognition they deserve.
Yeah. You think they should have more power, like in Congress?
Hell yeah.
Maybe oxen
We
for
put we
president?
put animals in Congress all the time. Why not start with oxen?
Yeah, it sounds like Congress is a big old zoo right now. Uh,
It do be like that.
yeah, it do be.
So Spencer, what college classes do you like and which ones do you not right now that you're taking?
Right now, I'm kind of taking it easy for my first year. Trying to work as much. I'm commuting an hour and 10 minutes away, so I'm only taking technically 4 classes this semester, but 3 at a time. So I just finished an accelerated course for literature, which is half a semester, and then now I'm transferring to psychology. Literature wasn't too bad. It was literature composition, which is a lot more writing,
Yeah.
which I'm good at. So I enjoyed that a lot more because my dyslexia, reading, I don't enjoy reading very much. So that made it more enjoyable. I'm taking calculus again just to get a better grasp of it, and it's a lot faster pace. Your cat's about to sabotage the whole podcast.
Yeah, don't let him up. Don't let him up here. Get him down.
Get down, bud. Get down.
I think that cat's working for Joe Rogan, trying to sabotage their competitors.
So calculus isn't too bad. No one really talks there. And then I have a public speaking class, which is actually pretty enjoyable for me. I never knew that speech would be super fun, but I gave a speech on how metal music affects the brain recently and the benefits it has on people. And then in 2 weeks from today, actually, I have a speech on. We get to choose our own topics, so I'm doing the dangers of nuclear radiation and why we need to be very careful with nuclear energy and nuclear
Yeah.
weapons and stuff like that, or
That's
ideally
really
not
cool.
have nuclear weapons.
I love classes that are mostly communication based. Like my
Yeah,
business and management class is mostly communication. We take notes on like fundamentals, standard business practices, but that's like one day out of the week that we spend doing that stuff, and the rest is just communication. And it's amazing.
yeah. I
Yeah,
like.
you'd be surprised how many people like don't know how to communicate with others, and that's like a key thing you need to be successful in many fields. I'm sure in your field you probably need to communicate with other scientists,
Yeah,
astrophysicists,
absolutely.
because
No matter what degree of science I go into or field of science I go into, I'll need to know how
you
to.
have to like share your findings, ask about theirs, and
Yeah,
collaborate on projects, which you need to
exactly.
communicate in order to do that. So,
I
yeah,
never really
communications is key.
I never really enjoyed teamwork activities in high school, mostly because I ended up being the only one actually doing the work most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
But
there's some people that do nothing in group work.
yeah, I ended up capitalizing off it, made some money in Dr. G's class by selling some note cards,
Oh wow. How much did you sell for each note card?
like $15.
That's
Because
a
it wasn't
deal.
just that; it was also like answers basically. But his
15
tests were
bucks per
really,
note card?
yeah, I made some
Jeez,
bank on that.
it's a businessman.
Oh yeah. So
Just got to
Spencer,
invest.
how about you tell them about the story about like what happened in your speech class that you told me earlier?
Oh boy. So I mentioned that I really enjoy metal music, and which I'm guessing you could gather by my outfit alone. But I'm currently in the market for new earbuds. I had this pair for a while, and I ended up losing one of them, so I've just been living with a singular wireless earbud for the last year and a half. And recently, it's been struggling to charge in the case. Well, I thought that it was fully charged, and when I take it out of the case, it's supposed to automatically connect to my phone. And I was sitting in my speech class waiting for class to start, so it was like half to two-thirds full of people already. And so I wanted to listen to some music while I wait for the instructor to start. So I put my earbud in, and it wasn't playing, but it made the noise. I double tapped. It hadn't connected. It was on, but it hadn't connected to my phone. So I double tapped. It made the noise that it unpaused. So I was like, okay, my phone volume needs to be turned up. So I go in my pocket, reach in, hold the power button up, and it blares music. And it's, of course, out of all the 900 songs in my playlist, it's playing probably the one with the most vulgar lyrics right at that point. It was Disaster Piece by Slipknot, and the opening line is what blared in front of the whole class, which is, I want to slit your throat and fuck the wound.
Yeah,
So
that's
that I managed to stop it right, like turn it down right when it said fuck the wound. So I don't know how many people heard that part, but it turned some heads. But most of them, this was after I gave the speech already a couple weeks back, so they know I like metal music and they thought it was funny, which was the better alternative to what it could have been.
For sure. Yeah, that's happened to me at school before when I think my earbuds or headphones are connected to whatever device I'm on, and I just like unpause a video and just blast
Yeah.
loud.
It's just comical that it was like probably the worst set of lyrics that it possibly could
Oh
have been
yeah,
for people to listen to.
but yeah,
yeah
that's
for
not
sure.
metal in general is not something that just if it just happens out of nowhere, people can be surprised by it.
Yeah, I know I got a lot of shit for it back in high school originally, but I kind of stood my grounds, and if you push back on people, they usually don't push harder on you. So
Yeah,
people judging me for my music taste, but listening to like modern rap music and stuff, so I'm like,
yeah. You can
do
judge
what you
them
want.
for it. Yeah.
I'm an optimistic nihilist. Listen to what makes you happy.
So
Yeah.
you like metal music? What's your favorite metal like song? I guess or band?
Well,
What's your
growing up,
favorite subgenre?
I kind of go either way. I love alt metal, new metal, some death metal. Like I
Yeah,
kind of listen to all varieties of metal music.
that's awesome.
I grew up listening to, for the longest time at least, I was a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold, and they were my number one.
Yeah, their
They're
guitarist
still,
absolutely kills it. He
yeah, I will
shreds.
forever stand on the ground that their guitarist Sinister Gates is the best guitarist I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he's
And
amazing.
yeah, he's truly incredible. But I slowly started like listening more to Slipknot lately, mostly because so when I compare, not that they're comparable bands, but with Avenged Sevenfold, the guitar obviously is what stands out to me the most, and I love all the melodies and stuff. Slipknot isn't as much like melodic stuff that impresses me or gets me going. It's mostly the lyrics, and it's a lot more they're a lot more diverse in what they sing about and or scream about, and it has a lot more emotion and a lot more like relatable stuff basically, and it's a lot of intellectual lyrics as well, which I really like. So it's mostly the frontman Corey Taylor. He's definitely the biggest reason I listen to them.
Yeah, their mask and just their like general like the layout of their band. They have so many members.
Yeah,
They're
they're
just
just very
very
unique.
yeah, they're
I
very unique.
respect that. I love their whole thing with the masks and the jumpsuits and the barcodes as a statement to basically against what people expect. People want, like as Corey Taylor himself said, people expect names and faces and just being the front of every page. But they're like, no, we're not about that. We don't do it just for that. We're
Yeah.
you want a face, we'll give you masks. You want our names, we'll get a number or a barcode. Like
Yeah,
I really like how unique they are with that sense, and some of the mask designs are really cool. There are some that I'm not a huge fan of, but all of their newest ones I adore. I saw them live a little over a year ago for their 25th anniversary of their first album, which
oh,
happens
that's
to be
really
my
cool.
favorite album. So it was really awesome seeing them there, and it was like all their masks are like redone versions of their old stuff, like their original masks, just spiced up, and I love them.
Do you have a favorite song from them, Slipknot?
It kind of depends on the mood I'm in. I love just in general. I'm more of a fan of their older stuff, but I listen to all their stuff and I enjoy all of it. But one of their newer-ish songs, I think 2019, Solway Firth is what it's called, and it's a really powerful song about basically like kind of like being used in relationships and
Yeah.
stuff. Is and that's another thing I like about them is a lot of their lyrics are kind of interpretive. They can mean different things what they think it is than what you listen to it and relate to it as. So I really like that aspect of it too.
That's awesome. I love their Iowa album.
They're
Is
yeah, that
Iowa's
one's my
amazing.
second favorite album. Left Behind is definitely my favorite on Iowa, and that's
Yeah.
probably top three favorite songs by them. Period.
I was never the biggest fan of them. I think Iowa's the only album that I really listened to extensively,
Yeah,
but I've always respected that factor that they keep themselves as like a faceless band,
yeah,
even though they're like the biggest metal band in the world. They still keep that core aspect to their band.
yeah. I really respect them for that, and they do a lot of really cool stuff, especially Corey Taylor. Outside of that, he's a very intelligent human being, and he has a lot of really powerful messages just outside of music. And
Yeah,
I really enjoy listening to what he has to say, and just in general, he's a really inspiring person. I feel.
he's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
that's. Go ahead.
there's a lot of great like leaders in metal. Personally, I think like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. I'm a big death metal fan, so that's something that I see. I like to point out as there's great people in this music community, and like you were talking about earlier, there are studies that prove that this can improve mental health.
Yeah, so there's all that was one of the biggest reasons I gave the speech, and when I ended the speech, I didn't I made sure to clarify, and when I ended it, I was like, well, I'm not telling you all this information and all these studies and stuff to try and convince you to listen to metal music. I'm just trying to inform you guys so that you don't look down on other people for what they listen to. And that's
Yeah,
ultimately what I want is just people to leave other people alone and not look down on them from their own or for what they do, and unless it's like for what like their own tastes in like music and stuff. Like people are different. We're supposed to be. It's part of being human, and I don't love the whole forcing people to conform into what society accepts as normal, in quotes. So, yeah, I gave that speech because of that mostly. And I pointed out that there's this common misconception that metal music makes people more violent and angrier, but it's actually the opposite of that. It helps regulate, it can regulate depression and make it more like stable. It decreases anxiety and it gives you an outlet basically to release all your negative emotions. I like doing metal screaming in my free time. That's another way to do it.
Oh, that's
It
really
helps me
cool.
get a lot of, like, if I'm having a bad day or something, I can just unwind. I usually do it when I'm like alone in my car or something.
Can
So
we hear? Can we hear a metal scream from you?
this microphone will.
It's yeah, don't
Let me
don't grab it too hard. It'll fall off.
Oh, let me think of a lyric.
Yeah.
That probably was
Wow.
horrible. Little opening to Left Behind
Yeah,
with
that
no
was
warm
good.
up, but yeah, it's a really good way. You have to do it safely, and I always have something to drink in between sets to help.
Loosen the vocals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not make it as tight. You have to also. There's also a wrong way to scream. So, Fenton, you said I was your favorite album. 1999, the self-titled. That's mine. Is right before Iowa. Those two albums are so good because of his screaming style and how he sounds. The issue with it is
It's very,
he was
very
he had
raw.
no idea what he was doing, and what he did not know that there was a dangerous way to do it. So what he would do is he would close off his vocal cords and force as much air through it as possible, which can cause irreparable damage if done too much. And you can definitely hear it in his later albums. Volume 3, he kind of did, from what I can tell at least, a mix of that style and a different screaming style. Vermilion is one of my favorite songs on
Yeah.
that album, but the whole album, everybody knows Duality.
Yeah.
But after that, All Hope Is Gone. You can notice there's a sizable, drastic change in his vocal quality because of it. So there's
Yeah.
right and wrong ways to do it. You have to stay
Something
hydrated to
that
make sure you don't
takes,
dry out your throat. And I've noticed that more like snotty fluids, like milk, honey. Yeah, honey's probably the best. That can actually improve how they sound because
Okay.
they get the vocal cords moving a lot more. So yeah,
that's cool. It's something that requires a bunch of practice. I remember watching a video of they put a camera down the throat of the vocalist for Lorna Shore, and he does absolutely inhuman stuff with his vocal control to
yeah,
make the noises that he makes on his music. And it's a tale as old as time. There's so many metal vocalists that just completely wreck their vocal cords. Like I think Chino Moreno from Deftones, within their first couple albums, he ended up tearing his vocal cords. There's
yeah.
so many metal vocalists, especially, who completely destroy their bodies for this music. And it's admirable to see the dedication to the craft, but it's also very dangerous to do that.
Yeah, that's why you need to know what you're doing. Even me, I've just recently started like trying metal screaming and stuff.
Yeah,
At first, I made sure to do a lot of research because I knew about how Corey and other metal singers screwed up their voice, and I don't want to do that at all. So yeah, it takes a lot of time and practice, and I'm not great at it. I'm just starting out, so there's always room for improvement. There's different kinds of screams too, and I can do a few different types, but I'm trying to learn the more guttural stuff as well. But it's all about moderation, and just like most things, like just like playing the guitar and getting calluses on your fingers,
yeah,
your vocal cords will kind of callus in a sense like that, and they'll get more used to it. And a good rule for myself is if I can go into falsetto using your headspace, which sounds terrible, but if you can go like really high, my posture's terrible right now, but if you can go high like that in your headspace without cracking, then you're safe. But if it starts cracking a little bit, you need to take a break until your voice and vocal cords heal enough for you to be able to do that again. So that's kind of the thing I look out for when I'm metal screaming because I have pushed myself too far.
yeah.
Just the other week, I had to get my flu vaccination for work because I work at a hospital. And so I got it. And the next day, I got a little sick and it messed with my throat a little bit. And I was driving to school and I wanted to do some metal screaming on the way to school because I have an hour and a half or hour and 10 minutes to kill. So I'm like, yeah, it's a good time to practice. and I couldn't do it. It wouldn't sound good. And I'm like, well, this sucks. And with me, if I can't do something, I will keep doing it until I do it, or I will give up and not have fun at all. But so I kept pushing myself till I was able to do it, and I ended up losing my voice a bit, and I sounded really tired and like this for like 3 days afterwards. So do not push yourself.
So what are the different types of metal screaming then? You said there were multiple types of
There's
it.
a
I am by
bunch of, like,
no means a professional.
like fry vocals if you're trying to do like emo kind of metal. Like,
Yeah, like here I can give an example of a
Chord
fry. I'll just move the
stuff.
mic a bit. So like fry is a lot more high pitch, and you can go like yeah, like it's
That
a lot
was
higher.
really good.
Was that good?
tried-
I don't know what's good. I don't listen to metal music
I
personally.
tried moving it away. I don't do fry all that much because
Fry vocals are very hard. Very
Fan,
that's
can you
that's
do
the
any-
issue is they were
I
super
can't
easy
do
for
fry
me to
vocals.
learn, and I wanted to do the deeper stuff, and I like
Yeah.
doing I like trying to not imitate because you'll never sound like somebody else. That everyone has a unique voice, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like taking some metal artists and trying to apply the methods they use to my own to try and make me sound better. And I really like trying to apply Corey Taylor's from the We Are Not Your Kind Slipknot album. And that one's more mid-range, and it's not just screaming, it's also like moving your voice through it a lot more so you could still hear what they're saying. I really like doing that one, but I really want to learn all the lower stuff. But of course, the one I want to do is the one that I can't do. And
Which one is
higher
it?
pitch, I can do the fry screaming really well,
Uh-huh.
and that's the one I do not care at all about doing. Like I use it like my parents love making me do their favorite Slipknot songs and stuff for them. So I'll do Vermilion, and that's one of the only ones that uses like a fry scream kind of. I can tell at least.
Okay. So Fen, can you do any metal scream?
I used to be able to do gutturals, but
Ooh.
long
Let's hear
time
it.
ago.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
No, thank you.
You don't want to lose your
This is,
voice.
This is the Hooligans podcast, not a talent show.
Well, this is
Hey,
where
you
we
guys are
learn-
forcing me to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
this-
forcing is a strong word.
This is
but-
where we're learning about everyone's talents, Fen. Like I know
Well,
you
it sounds like you're shaping
master
up to be
judo.
a pretty admirable member of the community, spreading, the good word of metal to, normies, I guess you could say, is it's pretty important. Although it's harmful to call, non-metal listeners normies, I think everyone should just listen to the music that makes them happy.
Yeah,
But it sounds like you're shaping up to be a pretty admirable member of this community.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
One of the I kind of live my life by this. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the term nihilism, the kind of the belief that nothing matters in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of how big everything is in the universe.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that, but it's called optimistic nihilism, and that is the belief that so in the grand scheme of things, nothing matters, which means it's up to each individual person in their life to decide what matters to them. So what matters to me will be different from what matters to Ben, and that's
Yeah.
okay. So music and stuff, we will have different tastes and stuff, and that is completely normal. And
Yeah.
I don't try to judge people for what music they like to listen to, what movies they watch, what they do in their free time. Just don't be an asshole to people, and don't do illegal shit, and you're good to go, is kind of how I look at life, or try to most of the time.
I have a similar belief. Just let people do whatever makes them happy, as
Yeah.
long as it's not really interfering with you too much.
Yeah, as
or
long as
they're
it's
trying
not
to
putting
force it
harm
onto
in
you.
others or trying to force their opinions on you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
It's a nice way to look at things.
To me, metal music, like how you explained how it's a way to like let out your emotions, kind of
Mhm.
like your rage or whatever. To me, it sounds like a rage room. Do you know
It
what that
kind of
is?
it kind of is like that. I've always wanted to go to a rage room because I got a punching bag recently, and I've been using the hell out of that. Like that's a real fun way. But like, there's some. I used to have a lot of more extreme anger issues when I was younger, and
Yeah, me too.
because of a bunch of medical stuff and how I just dealt with life and stuff. So, metal music kind of has been helping cure me from that for a while. But I've always wanted to go to a rage room, just break shit. Even if you don't have anger, like that
Yeah.
just seems like
It sounds
just
like
something
fun.
that would anybody would have fun doing, not just guys. Like I think just going into a room and being able to destroy everything just sounds
Yeah,
like a blast.
that sounds really fun. I wish I
Yeah,
had
sounds like
metal music when I was younger because instead of letting out my anger that way, I threw my controller at the wall and destroyed it.
You
So,
know, I did have those moments. One was kind of recently, so I built my own computer, and I also built my own keyboard. And I like mechanical keyboards, and I wanted to make one. I like writing in my free time. I'm writing a book, and so I want something that'll feel nice for me. It'll sound good, not be like that really like really clicky sound, but
yeah.
not silent. Like I like it's kind of like a creamy sound. So
I love the creamy
I
keyboards.
wanted a keyboard that would fit me. So I built my own. Well, I was eating Chinese food one day, and I ended up putting what I thought was soy sauce on my bringing it upstairs and started eating, and I was like, it was Worcestershire sauce or however the hell you
Ew.
pronounce it, and I'm like,
Worcestershire sauce?
yeah, and I was like, shit. And it wasn't a small, it was like a to-go container of rice. And I'm like, I can't waste this much rice.
Eat
So I
it?
went downstairs, grabbed some soy sauce, brought it up, and it was just these little packets. So I tore it,
Oh
and a
no, and it
couple drops flew out,
yeah.
landed on top of the keycaps, and seeped down. Now, if it was pretty much any other liquid, how small of amount it was, I think the keyboard would have been fine. But because soy sauce has basically
Shit ton
the
of salt,
highest concentration of
which means it's
sodium
very conductive.
out of any liquid on the
Yeah.
planet, it immediately fried it. And I was like, shit. So I unplugged it, I unplugged the keyboard, cut the power to it, turned it upside down, like give it a little shook, and then I plugged it back into my computer. It didn't even detect that it was plugged in. I'm like, shit. So I went downstairs and plugged it into my mom's computer, and I'm like, maybe it'll work. Nothing. So I brought it upstairs, back upstairs in my room, took it apart, tried cleaning it off a bit, put it back together, prayed that it worked, and it didn't. And I just snapped. That was like my breaking point of the day,
Where
just
you
building
smash
stress
it?
and stuff. So I just
Almost,
smashed the
almost
mic,
smashed the mic.
just
Yeah.
slammed my fist into the keyboard and twice in a row. And my poor friend was on the call listening to me this whole time. And then I was so angry. I just brought my fist together, went like this, and leaned back. And then I had to stop myself because my desk is not thick. Like it's not even. It's less
Not
than
even
half
thick.
as thick as your desk here. And it
Dude,
could
is
have
it
gone.
wood?
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
it could
oh,
have
it could
got.
have broke.
I could have gone straight through it. And there's like some metal legs on the left hand side, and there's a drawer on the right hand side keeping it up. So I easily could have. And I don't want my PC to break, or the monitors are mounted on the wall, so they would have been fine. But I don't want to screw up my $2,500 thing. So I just took a breather. I'm like, and then I just stopped. And I ended up ordering a new PCB and stuff, and it
That was
ended up fixing
recent?
the problem. Yeah, it was like 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was out of a keyboard for a little while, but I got it fixed, and or I just ordered some replacement parts, and I remade it.
Yeah. Yeah, lately when I get mad at like video games, I just like punch my pillows now.
That's a better
Because what I
way.
used to do is I would smash my controller on my bed so it would still not do damage. But one time with my old phone, it was on the bed, so I happened to hit it
Ooh.
a couple times. And you know, how was that a mistake if I hit it the first time? Why didn't I stop? I don't know. I was mad, so I just kept fucking hitting it.
Just kept
And then I
going.
turned it around, and lo and behold, the screen is absolutely
Just
shattered.
foobar, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I still actually have that phone, dude. It is absolutely shattered. It works, but the screen is actually shattered. Like sometimes when you're trying to use it, you'll get like a little glass splinter, basically, in your finger.
I my other rage came from I don't rage at video games nearly as much as I used to, and if I do, I just kind of yell at the mic.
Why are you this mad at video games to fucking slam your
Because
phone?
I'm playing Marvel Rivals, dude. I get the
Okay.
fucking stupidest teammates ever. Like, bro, they like do Jeff in like comp, or they do like Doctor Strange, and they didn't portal, and we lost because we didn't get to the point in time, and it pisses me
So
off, dude.
I raged obviously because my $200 keyboard broke from a drop of soy sauce. There was one other time, somewhat recently, and I was playing Bloodborne,
The,
and I was fighting
listen, the soy sauce makes sense. My criteria is if it's something that's in your control, it's perfectly fine to be mad at it. If
yeah.
it's out of your control, there's no reason being mad at it. You get stupid teammates in Marvel Rivals, that's out of your control. There's
Yeah,
no
well,
reason
at
being
least I
mad at
didn't
that.
fucking break something, and I just punched my bed, Fen. When's the last time
Broke
you
your
raged,
phone.
huh? No, that was a long, long time ago. When's the last time you raged, Fen?
When I
Huh?
was like a 7-year-old baby.
Yeah, yeah. Back then,
It's
guess what
not.
you were doing? You were probably listening to metal music, so you had an outlet, and you were
I
doing
wasn't listening to
judo,
metal
bitch.
music at
You
that
were doing
time.
judo, Fenton.
He's just
I
got a more
started judo
stable
at
mind.
age 9.
Oh, okay.
I was listening to Trippy Red at that time.
Yeah, Trippy Red. That's like some angry music, isn't it?
No,
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know who Trippy Red is,
You
bro.
just threw a dart and you're like, it probably is angry music.
I don't know.
There was one
I was
other time.
listening to Love Scars 2 album by Trippy Red when I was like 7.
There,
Well, Fen, I think it's more reasonable to get mad at things that are out of your control. Because if it's something you can control, you shouldn't get mad at it. And I don't think Spencer's thing was something he could control because every time you open up one of those goddamn packets, it splatters all over the place.
to
It's
be
like
fair, I
pouring his
probably
arm.
shouldn't have been eating
Yeah,
two
you
feet
could have
away from my keyboard, but
been like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't want liquids or anything by my keyboard. That's something that he could have
Okay, but
prevented, and it's something that's
it's
reasonable to be
partially
mad at.
his fault, but it's not entirely his fault. Is what I'm saying.
And it's more than just a fucking video game. It is an actual
Yeah.
tangible object that he worked hard for, and he's been waiting
You lost a
a
ranked match. I
time
lost a
to come
$200 keyboard.
and get.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. But I'm saying both are reasonable crash outs in my opinion.
in
Gooner
my
Gang,
opinion,
let me
one
know in the
is and one
comments.
is
I
not.
think both are reasonable crash outs, personally.
I crashed out one time on recently-ish. It was a couple months ago. I was playing Bloodborne, and I was fighting the Orphan of Kos, which is notoriously one of the most difficult bosses in any Soulsborne game. And I was doing a blood tinge build, so more like firearms and blood weapon focused. And I'm using this weapon called the Chikage, and it's a katana that when you put its transform mode is you put it in the sheath and then you take it out and it has a bunch of hardened blood on it and it does a crap ton of damage. Issue is to balance it, if you're using it and not attacking while holding it, it slowly does basically poison damage one tick at a time. And I was fighting the boss and it got down I got it down to like such a low amount of health that its health bar wasn't even visible, and then it one hit me with a lightning attack, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I thought I was dead, so I was like, "No!" I was screaming, "No!" And then my character started getting back up. I'm like, "Yes!" So all I had to do was like shoot him once, and guns do no damage. But if I shot him once, it would have been you would have been done. Then tick of damage from my weapon killed me.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, no, yes, and then just screamed no. I almost cried when I beat that boss finally. Like I did when I beat it, I just didn't register what happened, and then it clicked. So I just stared at the screen of Nightmare Slain or whatever it says. I was like, just spaced out, and then I started laughing when I realized what happened, and I laughed so hard, hysterically, for no reason. I didn't think it was funny at all. It was just where my brain went. I was the Joker for a second, and then my eyes started watering, and I just could not process the amount of emotion
Yeah.
that flowed through me from finally beating that boss.
Story to you getting that one boss low, besides it was a much easier boss. It was the like the corrupted tree warden, I think, or something, where you get into this one castle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It is like lightning attacks.
I'm
Kind
not
of.
too familiar with Elden Ring. I do know a bit about it. I do need to play it. My dumbass started with Bloodborne, which is one of the hardest of the Souls series. I've heard Elden Ring is the easiest unless it's the DLC, and then it's like the hardest.
It's the easiest if you play it with the easiest ways, like using magic
Yeah,
and having
I've heard there
and
are
using
play
companions.
styles.
But if you don't do that, it's I played
Hero
on
is
it.
the
I
hardest.
played it with companions like summons, but I didn't use the magic build. But even with my summon, I got the tree warden guy down to like the tiniest sliver of health, and he killed me right after that, and it made me so mad, dude.
I've been playing Bloodborne wrong recently. I've been doing the Chalice dungeons because I'm trying to get platinum, and the Chalice dungeons are horrible. I hate doing them. And I'm on this one in particular that takes your max health and cuts it in half, throws you in, and it's like, all right, go fight 5 bosses. And that's enough to pretty much get one hit by anything, especially with where my stats are diverted to. And I'm not like super low on health, but so I was doing the Chalice dungeons, and there's this mechanic in the game where if you the game basically makes fun of you if you're shit at it. It'll be like, "Oh, you've died this many times. Here's a summon that can help you." I didn't know that it actually makes it harder because the AI for them is just completely brain dead.
Yeah.
They'll die And normally that'd be fine if because they could just chip away some damage and die. I did not know it increases the boss's health.
Oh,
So what I was
really?
doing for fighting a boss
That's
in the
stupid.
chalice dungeon that cuts your health in half is I was summoning this, which also takes insight, which is a finite currency, and now I'm pretty low on it. He would increase the boss's health by summoning in, helping me. And this guy has a cone on his head, zero shirt, shorts. He can't see shit.
Sounds like a
He's got a
pyramid head.
wheel as his weapon and a
Yeah.
cannon strapped to his arm. And this guy's going in headstrong, getting a little bit of damage, and then dying immediately and having me fight a boss with almost double the amount of health. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. I was like, why is this so hard?
Yeah.
So I finally did it. I have a screenshot. Same thing happened with Orphan, microscopic amount of health,
Mhm.
dead immediately. But yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that it increases the boss's health. That would have saved me a lot of migraines.
Yeah, because it definitely doesn't do enough damage to make
No,
up for the health it gains.
no, it is not at all worth it.
Yeah.
Especially in the Chalice dungeon. There's some bosses that are super easy for me, and some that just aren't. Shadows of Yarnum, I don't know why. Everyone that I talk to say they're super easy. I can never do them. Like I did my latest playthrough. I tallied how many times or how many attempts it took me to kill each boss.
Yeah.
All of them were between 1 and 4. Shadows of Yarnum was 11. I just
Gosh.
cannot beat them, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's diverting my attention to 3 different enemies or something, but I'm also a very impatient person for pretty much anything.
Yeah, I am
So I
as
try to
well.
rush everything. And normally in Bloodborne, that's rewarded because there's the rally system where if you take a bunch of damage, there will be a bit of your health you can get back if you're quick enough to damage them.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get hit, you can hit them back immediately and gain some health back. So, aggression and low patience is rewarded in that sense. But when you're fighting 3 enemies at once, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, I've never played Bloodborne, but I know it's Jacksepticeye's favorite game, and I've been thinking about playing it. I
I
really
didn't
wish they'd just like remake it or
I
whatever
didn't
it's
know this
called.
until right after, but I actually have. He has a tattoo in the same spot as
Oh,
me.
really?
Yeah, so his is
Show
here.
the
I can show the
camera.
camera. Lost a layer. I've got the. How can I make this look good without? I can hold my arm out like that. So I got
Oh,
it. I
yeah.
like it.
I
It's
love
like
it.
engraved into the arm. It looks like, which I really like. He has the hunter symbol as well, but it's upside down, a lot bigger up his arm, and it's just kind of on his skin. Mine looks like it's engraved, but I didn't know that until right after.
Oh, really?
Like right after I got it, and then I saw he has it. I'm like, yo, that's awesome. He's also got the hat, which I would love to have that, but
Oh,
I
the
think
hat
I'd
is
look
awesome.
I think I'd look terrible in it, and they're also pretty expensive
Yeah.
because they're all custom made. That's the thing that annoys me a lot is there's like zero merchandise for Bloodborne. You can get the Holy Moonlight Greatsword on
Game.
the yeah,
That's
but I mean like accessories or like shirts and stuff. There's
Like
almost
merch?
none.
There's
Yeah,
no merch? That's
yeah.
stupid.
There's like nothing, and with the hats, it's all custom made, and some. I'm pretty sure Jack's is real leather as well, which is super cool.
I'm sure it is. He has a
And
lot of
they're
money for
yeah,
it.
they're a lot, and he got it at Comic Con, I believe he said. So
Probably. I haven't
his
seen
is
him in a while.
his is probably real leather, and if not, but it's really high quality. So they're really expensive, and I would get one, but I think I would not look good in them. I have a very rounded head shape, and then it doesn't help that I have the tumor making my head asymmetrical. But
Yeah. If I ever got a tattoo, I think I would get the Mark of Sacrifice from Berserk.
that one's cool. I always thought that this was similar looking
It
to
is.
that
It
because
is quite
Dude,
similar, actually. It is quite
when
similar.
did Berserk like what? Isn't that older than Bloodborne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
It's
that they
19
probably took inspiration.
1997,
Oh, way
1990s,
older, yeah.
somewhere in there.
When was Bloodborne? Like 2010, I
It was,
think.
yeah, it was in the 2000s. But
Yeah,
I would get it on my neck. I'd get it on my neck like where Guts has it. Is
That's
where
pretty
I,
awesome.
Where I think I'd get a tattoo. How about you, Fen? If you got a tattoo, where would you get it and what would it be?
a pirate ship on my forearm.
Like One Piece?
No, like a pirate ship, not
The
like
Black Pearl.
Oh, yeah, like Pirates of the Caribbean, kinda.
no, like actual pirates,
Okay.
like real life
That's
pirates.
pretty awesome.
Cause yeah, one of our coworkers, our former coworker Spencer, had a tattoo like that, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
Of
was
the
pretty awesome.
big N.
Big N,
Is that what you guys call him? Oh, it's the nickname.
the nickname.
So I was thinking we could talk about like Halloween because it's coming up, and I know you had a
Yeah.
Slipknot costume.
Yeah,
as
so
well?
I'm doing two things. So I have a fallback and then I have the Slipknot one. So I bought the jumpsuit on Amazon and I'm doing the 25th anniversary album look because one of the other things they do is they change their masks pretty much every album,
Yeah,
and it's another statement thing of people change. So that's what kind of message they're trying to convey. And Corey's new one, well, all their new ones, but specifically the 25th anniversary album, it's very similar to their original album, just modified. So I really like that look, and they have like new jumpsuits that also look like the original, but with some added stuff. So I ordered the jumpsuit, and it's basically identical, and just off Amazon. I got the custom patches. I found some on Etsy that
yeah,
are the same way, that are like literally identical. They just made them from that. So I'm gonna make the custom outfit, and then I ordered the mask for Corey, and I don't think it will be here before Halloween, unfortunately. I was a little too late ordering it because they take a lot of time. So,
yeah,
but I got a message from the seller, and he said and this was like a week ago, that it's all painted and stuff. He just needs to do the leather straps on the back of it and the dreadlocks. So I think that there's might be hope. So if there is, I'll just swap halfway through. But the other costume I'm doing, which I have all set up already, is Rorschach from DC's The Watchmen.
yeah,
He's got the white mask with the ink splatter Rorschach test on it, and
yeah,
he's a really cool character because most masks kind of cover up are meant to like hide people's face. His whole character is he doesn't express emotion with his face other than indifference and anger. The mask changes the ink splashes based on his heat signature and his so like when he has different emotions, which is kind of his way of giving him emotion. So his mask he refers to as his face because it is his face. It's what gives him expression.
yeah.
What are you guys doing for Halloween? Well, for costume wise, because we're all hanging out.
Um, I don't really have anything planned right now. I'm
Just
probably just gonna wear my banana costume again for the third time in a row.
you
You
gotta
know?
be more creative than that.
No, dude, I don't care. Um, yeah, I'll probably just be wearing the banana costume. How about you, Fenton? You gonna wear anything?
That's a
That's
pretty good
cool.
one. I've already seen that movie twice this October, and it's only the 15th. It was kind of just because it was on with my parents. We've seen fucking what's the one with the three witches? Hocus Pocus. We've seen that like six times. I don't know why my mom just refuses to watch anything else.
I've never seen that,
I
so
I don't pay attention to it anymore. It was a good movie, and then after seeing it 412 times my entire lifetime, like it gets old.
yeah, I get you. You excited for Halloween?
Yeah, it's my favorite holiday, and it'll bring a bunch of friends together. And my life is kind of boring. Like I kind of hate how my life is
Well, you're
currently
pretty busy
because
right now.
yeah, it's not just how busy I am that generates a lack of free time to myself to be able to hang out with friends and stuff. I get pretty much one day a week to do that, but it's that every week is pretty much exactly the same for me. I have the exact same work schedule. I have school 2 days a week. I have work 4 days a week. One day I have off to myself,
Yeah.
so I get to do stuff like this, which is a lot of fun. And I also don't get a lot of vacation time because I'm technically not full time,
Yeah.
even though I work full time hours. We're like contractors, so it's kind of up for the discretion of the company of
Where do you work
if
again?
we are. I work at the hospital. Yeah, I'm a dietitian, so I help with that stuff. But it's really strict on rules and stuff. So getting time off, and I'm gonna have like we have to work. Like we have a sign up sheet for holidays we have to work on,
Yeah.
so we get to choose which holidays we do and don't work, but we have to sign up for two. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be working on New Year's Day, which is fine, and then also on Christmas Eve. But I get out at 6:30, so I'll be able to spend the rest of Christmas Eve doing fun stuff at
Yeah.
least. So at the latest 6:30 if I'm working my PM shift, which is normal. I hate working morning shifts. My shifts are either most now it's pretty consistently 10 to 6:30,
Mhm.
half hour break. And then there's also the other shift, which is AM. I am not a morning person. I've
Yeah.
always been. I'm wired to be a night owl. I'm
Yeah,
more
me too.
productive at night. I feel physically better at night and stuff. Mornings just are not my thing. The morning shifts are actually a lot easier because there's just less stuff to do. But getting up that early and then having to go to bed at a reasonable time, just
Hmm.
I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I much prefer being up later at night. Like you, I feel a lot more energetic and I
Yeah,
feel a lot more motivated to do work because I feel
yeah.
like during the morning I'm always sluggish and I don't really want to do much, you
I
know?
know it's technically not like the most advisable thing, but when work out, I work out at like 2 a.m. Like
Oh yeah,
I
there's a
know that
reason it's
that's
bad. It's because
not
it gets
good.
your blood
Yeah,
rushing
sleep, but
and
I don't get much sleep.
it's
I have terrible sleep.
it really depends how hard you're working out. If you're working out like very strenuously, it makes your heartbeat go really fast. Then it's gonna be hard to fall asleep. But if it's like not a too hard of a workout, you should be fine.
Yeah.
From research, I've done research on it. So
Yeah, I know I need to get better about that. So I've been switching and trying to work out a little earlier. Earlier being 9 p.m., but
it's better
it's
than two.
2 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 hours before I go to sleep usually.
yeah. I started going to the gym again recently. So the first week is always depending on how hard you work out.
Yeah.
I work out hard personally, so I'm very sore
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my body's getting back uh, used to it, back in the rhythm. So
I do need to. That's something I need to be careful. As I said earlier, I push myself physically and mentally. I just always try to push myself as hard as I can.
hmm
But with something like working out or like we said, screaming, you cannot do that because it can
oh, it
cause
can actually
terrible,
damage
yeah,
you. Yeah, if you go too hard
muscles
working
and
out,
stuff.
my general rule of thumb is when you start feeling like too short of breath or nauseous is when you should tone it down.
Yeah,
Because I work out till I'm nauseous, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta chill out a
that
little
doesn't
bit.
sound super advisable at all.
Yeah, I don't
But
know. I don't know. I've been doing drop sets. Like, Fen's the one who got me into that when we used to go to the gym together. Yeah, I love drop sets. Fen, what's your general rule of thumb? When do you know you gotta tone it down when you're going too hard? Is there anything for you?
I
6 times a day. Holy,
I was like, hang
bro,
on.
bro's on that grind set.
He lives at the gym.
You just know, like you just sense it. Do you ever get nauseous going to the gym or no? Oh, that's probably my thing. I don't drink enough water.
Yeah, I've got a chronic addiction to monsters.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's
Give
not.
you a kidney stone.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't yet.
Yeah, I get lightheaded too. Like if I get lightheaded and nauseous, that's when I know I gotta chill out on the drop set. I bring my big jug with me, but Fenton, if I drink too much water, it literally makes you throw up if you're drinking too much water during a strenuous
Mhm.
workout. So I don't. I try not to drink too much while I'm working out. You're supposed to drink water before you work out, by the way. That's something I learned recently as well. Maybe I'll just chug some water before I go work out, but not too much. Too much water.
My brother's really big into working out. He lives hockey. He's very good at it, and
Mm.
he dedicates pretty much all of his time towards it.
Well, you like hockey
And
too, don't
yeah,
you?
I do. I used to play it, but with my health conditions, it became too physically taxing. But he's really big on all the fitness stuff, and so he's kind of been my personal trainer for when I do work out and stuff.
Yeah.
So because he's done all the research, he's read books and stuff.
So what workouts do you do when you work out?
I
Like
couldn't tell
aerobics?
you the name, but yeah,
Like
he
body
does. Yeah,
workouts? Those
I do
are
stuff like that,
aerobics,
and
I
I like
think.
doing boxing with the punching bag as cardio
That's
because I
definitely
don't
an
love running.
exercise, yeah.
Yeah, I don't love running, and as like I told you earlier today, I learned that screaming actually does work out your core muscles pretty well because you could feel it. I could feel it burn because you're supposed to use your diaphragm. You're not supposed to use your actual head to just force air out.
Could you get abs just from metal screaming?
That I do not know.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty awesome. I
Like,
know you can get neck muscles as well. Like most metal singers have, like Corey Taylor especially,
mhm.
90% neck,
Corpse
10%
Grinder
man. He's just yeah,
from
yeah,
Cannibal Corpse has a massive
corpse
neck.
grinder. Yeah, it's a lot of that as well.
That's really great to hear, though. Like, working out is one of the best things you can do with your time. Just how it affects your body physically and mentally, it does wonders for you. It's one of my favorite things ever. It's
yeah,
truly one of my happy places. being
Before I
normal.
started working out again, I had been like pretty unmotivated to do as much things, but after I started picking it back up, I just feel like in general I have a lot more energy and I feel like a lot more motivated after I work out to actually do the things I need to do and not like postpone my important tasks at hand, you know?
That's why I'm looking into trying to work out a lot more and stuff and get into a routine of that because, like I said, my life is pretty much the same week after week while
Oh
I'm in
yeah, it
school.
definitely adds something to
And
your life.
yeah, and it adds something and it has positive mental effects, which I know, which is something that I definitely need to look into a lot more because, yeah, I know it'll improve mood state and all that stuff. So I think it'll help me.
Yeah.
It'll make me happy because I'll be more fit. Like I'm a skinny dude, but I would like to have defined muscles and stuff like pretty much anybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just something that would make me happier with myself. I feel like. And plus, just working out alone increases your positive emotions in your brain. I've heard.
I'm not sure. I feel like I have a better time when I have someone to live with, but I also do something that a lot of people find odd.
What's
I
that?
don't listen to music while I'm working out. And
That
people think that's kind of like crazy, but I'm not really a huge music person in general. I only really listen to music while I'm playing video games. I don't
Mhm.
really listen to it anymore after that. That is the only time I
Yeah.
listen to music.
I
Not
would
even at the gym.
I definitely listen to music while working out, but it's not I don't know if it's because I'm working out that I'm listening to music. I just constantly have music going. I have a
Yeah.
really overly active
Here's the
imagination.
thing. I'd say the gym is probably one of my favorite places to listen to new music and try to see if
Yeah.
something's like if I try to discover a new music, like a new artist, I listen to their music while I'm at the gym, and then
Yeah.
try to see if that carries on into my life outside of the gym.
And I know certain music helps boost that, get the blood pumping even more. And I know metal, luckily, will help
Yeah.
me out with that a lot. My brother is so weird. His idea of pump up music for hockey and for working out and stuff is like slow rap, like Eminem and NF and stuff, but like the slower
I
songs.
think
And I'm like,
Eminem would get me pretty hyped up,
but like,
personally.
but like, till I collapse and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know.
I like the music. Don't get me wrong. I'm more of a metalhead, but I do listen to a little bit of everything. I just mostly listen to metal, and I really like Eminem, and I really like a lot of NF as well, which is surprising because I never used to be into rap music at all. But I just don't see how that can kind of get you in the
Well,
mindset
it's
of.
really on who's listening to it. Your
Yeah, no,
brother
I'm
is
not saying
probably
it's
hyping
a
him
wrong
up, but
thing. It's like
Dean's not.
it's just like I don't understand the workings of how that would affect. Yeah, yeah.
Like, Pat, imagine that, dude.
Lo-fi.
No, not lo-fi.
Oh,
Lofi. Like
what's
the
that?
artist, Lofi.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
You guys don't know what that
Laufey?
is?
I have not.
Leve?
Dude, I don't know.
Laufey? Leve?
It's L... Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
L-A-E-F-E-Y.
there we go. Thank
Wait,
you.
how's it
Printed.
pronounced? Leafy?
Leve.
Leve?
Yeah.
Yeah, her. That's all like some crazy workout music.
You are such an American.
I didn't know how to pronounce it. It's spelled Lofty, so I pronounce it Lofty.
I've listened to Leve in the gym before.
Does it hype you
doesn't have
up?
to be hype music.
No, it definitely doesn't have to be.
It
I
just
don't
has to
know.
be something that you enjoy. You don't have to be hyped to go to the gym. You just have to enjoy it.
I'm just constantly listening to music because I have a really overactive imagination, and I'm one of those people that can hear their thoughts. What's it? You mentioned it. What's it called? When internal dialogue. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah, internal
audible.
dialogue.
Yeah, and I've got one of those, and my brain's always running and stuff, and so I'm
Is it
always
still
having
there when
things
you're
in my
listening
head.
to
So
music?
music helps monitor that and
Okay.
calm it down. Like that's one of the reasons I don't like reading so much is not just because of my dyslexia where I'll flip words and I'll have to like really focus on each word individually to try and make sure I don't screw it up, but then I don't retain any of the information. I also don't retain the information because my mind wanders too much, but music helps give me something that my brain can focus on partially while I'm doing something else, and it makes me more productive. So I'm always trying to listen to music pretty much as I can. So
Yeah.
There's times I like to go to the gym without listening to music because it's very meditative.
hmm
It's also a good place to listen to podcasts. Like I'm trying to learn how to
Yeah.
speak Dutch,
yeah,
so I
ooh,
dedicate at least one day out of the 6 days that I work out to spending the whole time listening to Dutch podcasts so I can kind of
try and like inherit
ingrain,
more of the
yeah,
information.
just so I can ingrain the language. Like half the stuff I don't understand, it's just so I ingrain it into my brain subconsciously.
Yeah, I've been talking. I was talking to Ben earlier that I need to start listening to more podcasts because I like turning I like turning on documentaries of scientific stuff sometimes, but documentaries I think I'd have a lot of fun listening to. But I'm also actually learning French, which I can't recall. I might sound like an idiot, but isn't Dutch a dialect of French?
Dutch
I
Or
think
is
is
it
it's
complete?
closer to German, right?
Yeah,
Dutch is Germanic,
yeah,
but
it's a dialect of German. You're right.
it's a very why I'm trying to learn it is it's a melting pot language. So it has a
Mm.
lot of French, it has a lot of German because the Dutch traveled a lot.
Yeah,
Like
nomads.
there's been Dutch people on
What's up,
all
cat?
corners of the earth. So there's a lot of countries that speak Dutch. There's a lot of influences of other country like languages in the Dutch language. So it's like a key to make it way easier to learn a bunch of different languages.
Yeah, yeah. I know some languages are easier. I know we were forced to take Spanish in high school. I didn't retain much of that. I did not like Spanish. That was one of the few classes I like most classes in high school I could just breeze through and super easy. Spanish was one of the ones I had to actually try in, which means I didn't like it. Not because I had to try, but just because it didn't make sense to me. Um, but at least once you get like the basics of that, most languages like German, French, Dutch, Spanish, they all have very similar workings. And then there's like Chinese and Russian and Japanese, and then all of that is just out the window.
Yeah, I think Mandarin is the hardest language to learn.
I'm pretty sure you're right. I have heard that.
Yeah, I think French is probably one of the easiest languages for English speakers to learn because I think
Yeah.
around 30% of English is already French. So
I
a
haven't
lot of
taken
your
too much of
everyday.
my Duolingo lessons. I think I did day 31 today.
Oh, that's cool.
But I have noticed I don't know if there's any that I've ran into too many words that are the same, but they are very reminiscent. At least, especially if like I've noticed a lot of Spanish, like "you" is "two" in both, but like
Okay.
some are really
Spanish and
easy.
French are very, very similar.
Yeah, I've noticed quite a bit.
Yeah, I've never really tried to learn a new language. I tried learning Norwegian for a little bit, but
That's an interesting one.
I just kind of gave up on it. It was only because I had a Norwegian girlfriend for a while, but I just kind of gave up on it.
Gave up on what, learning or your girlfriend?
A little bit of both, honestly. A little bit of
I like
both.
to
Savage.
travel for my job, so it's useful to learn languages.
Yeah, you want to be a cruise ship guy.
Yeah, there's like maritime, not really law, but like rules where most cruise ships have a uh like English is a most cruise ships around the world, the crew are going to speak English,
Yeah.
but it's still useful to learn different languages so you can communicate with people on a deeper level.
Yeah, that's kind of why. That's another reason I'm learning French is I'm Canadian. I have a lot of Canadian family members, and I do have some French Canadian family that were married in, and obviously they do speak English. But I feel like it would be super useful to have, especially if I end up moving back to Canada ever. Not that you can easily live in Canada without learning French unless you live in Quebec, but it's just one of those things where it's like easier if you have the knowledge, and it'll make it more enjoyable. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. The thing I've heard about, like, French, at least people in France, I'm not sure if it's true in Canada because it's known that people in Canada are typically nicer. This is a stereotype.
Yeah.
But the stereotype for French people is they absolutely hate people who are trying to learn their language, especially if they get it wrong.
And honestly, I have some French Canadian family members, and I can say this: they are very judgmental. And
Yeah.
hey, I didn't say all are. I
I
said
don't
my family are.
endorse that.
Yeah, we don't endorse that here, but I do know it's a popular thing. Let's move that away a bit. That in Quebec, there's a lot of really kind of more like I feel like there's a lot more hostility towards everybody else because they want to separate from Canada.
Mhm.
They have for a while, but they're too poor to do it and they're not big enough, whatever. So they can't be independent, and France also doesn't want them, so they can't join
Yeah,
France
I was
either.
just gonna say, French people kind of view French Canadians as like a bastardization of their language. It's kind of how
Yes,
we view like
Like
British
the UK,
English speakers.
Yeah,
speakers.
yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. It's kind of like that where.
Dude, I hate UK English. Rubbish,
Yeah.
innit? Rubbish.
So like with Quebec, they want to go off and join France, but France doesn't want them. But they really don't like the other Canadians and Americans, so they're just kind of stuck in the state of limbo
Hmm.
where they. And this does not go for all of them, but this is just one of those stereotypes. And I hear this from my family too. But they're just kind of stuck in the state of limbo where they want to join a different group but they can't, and they want to separate from this group, so they're kind of looked down on for that, but they also look down on them as
Yeah.
well. So like, yeah. So it's kind of all over the place, but the Canadian stereotypes are pretty true sometimes with being nice and stuff, but French Canadians can be a bit more judgmental, and it's also like a way of how they were raised, like
Yeah.
raised to be more proper, like the antithesis of me, but like sit straight up and stuff, like kind of like that is really big in their culture, from what I've gathered, at least with my family. So
To me, it sounds like there's a revolution a brewing with the Quebecians. If they really want to prove themselves to the French, maybe they start taking some heads.
I mean,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, that's what the French did in the French Revolution. Decapitating the leaders. So could be a solution, modern day solution.
Do we need another French Revolution right now?
Quebec, French, Canada Revolution.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have Fenton who pronounces it Quebec, which is what a lot of people
I say
misconception.
Quebec, I thought.
Quebec is also objectively wrong.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it's pronounced Quebec,
Quebec.
I believe. Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. It's weird. I might be butchering that too, but I'm fairly certain that it's pronounced Quebec.
Quebec. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds natural to me.
Mhm.
So. Yeah, no, I've always just called it Quebec. I just thought that's what it was.
Quebec.
Yeah. But yeah. So Spencer,
What's up?
how about we talk more about you?
Oh, yeah.
What are you most talented at? What do you think you're the most talented at?
Oh boy.
We can go around the table with this one. Actually,
Making people miserable would probably be the first one.
Why do you
I'm
say
good
that?
at. I don't know.
It's pretty dumb.
I'm pretty analytical. Like I have this thing where I can kind of like in a room, I can just kind of sense other people's emotions, and I don't believe in the whole like personally, I don't believe in like the whole different energies thing, but to an extent, like feel what other people are feeling, like emotions wise.
Yeah.
So when I worked
So you're an
at
empath?
yeah, so that's what me and my mom are. We're empaths. So we both share that. The reason that I ended up not one of the reasons I ended up quitting my last job in a restaurant that was super busy in the summer, Fenton, is because part of it is because in the summer it's just constantly miserable. Like it's super hot, super busy. There's like zero AC. We have one AC. We had like one AC above the doorway.
Yeah.
You couldn't feel it, and it smelled like shit when you turned it on.
That's
So
terrible.
yeah, it wasn't good. So it was just constant, and I don't do well in the heat. When I was younger and we were in elementary school, going outside for recess near the end of the school year, closer to summer, I'd often go home vomiting because of the sunlight
Oh
and
my
the
gosh.
heat. I don't react with
From
heat.
your old job?
No, that when I was in elementary school at recess and stuff. So I've gotten a little bit better with that, but still when there's a lot of heat and humidity and stuff, it physically drains me, and it just kind of drains all my energy. So that was one of the
Is
reasons,
that
but
like
it was
a
also
ginger
because
trait, you think?
I've been
'Cause you're
told. I've been told it's a ginger thing. I've been told like me being immune to anesthesia. I've told that's a ginger thing as well
It
because
is.
yeah.
You also
So
have a
it's
higher pain tolerance. There's a lot of
yeah.
perks
Yeah.
with being ginger.
Just the stress got to be a lot. And with the stress was also what other people were feeling. So when you're in a kitchen of, we usually had
Oh,
like six
yeah.
people there.
I know what you're
When
talking
you're in a
about.
kitchen and everybody is hot, sweaty, and miserable, I feel how hot, sweaty, and miserable everybody else is on top of me. And it just kind of got to be a lot of feeling really just down. And I loved all the people there. I
Yeah.
still talk to a bunch of them. And they're all awesome people, but when it got to a point and I couldn't do with I didn't like the flow of you're constantly miserable and want to die in the summer, and then in the winter you struggle to get hours. So my job at the hospital, same, like I complained about earlier about having it be the same thing. I like that. I don't like how my life is right now where it's all the same thing because there's no variety,
Yeah.
but I like knowing what I'm getting into with work. and I like getting the same hours summer and winter,
Yeah.
and I like not having to like it's always like it does have busier days, some not busy days, but it's not like summer more people are sick than winter. Like it's pretty consistent, so it's a lot of just the same thing. So I know what I'm getting into. It's a lot less stressful for me, and there's a lot of like I'm constantly moving, constantly busy. I'm on my feet for 8 hours at a time, but once you get used to that, it's kind of just go with the flow, and it's a lot more relaxed. I feel like.
Yeah, what you were
Personally, I am a active person, so I love the heat of working in a kitchen, constantly
Yeah,
moving, always doing stuff. I love that.
and
But
some
so
people are like that.
I've never felt stressed in that sort of way, but I hate how collaborative it is because if there's a weak link, there
Hmm.
it affects everybody. Like we have
it's
a
definitely a
coworker
teamwork type of
who
thing.
they vape while they're cooking, and that
No
I
bueno.
am Surf Safe certified. I'm very picky about that stuff, and that
Yeah.
is it's not only selfish, but it's also a it breaks public health. It is
Yeah, for sure.
dangerous because someone can walk into the restaurant and they could have a nicotine allergy. And then if someone's vaping while they're cooking, it's fine to smoke on the job, but you have to be away from food, wash your hands before and after you smoke.
Hmm.
And if you don't do that and you're smoking right where you prep food, it contaminates all of the food that you have. And if
Do you guys
someone
wear
has a nicotine
gloves
allergy, they could
there?
literally
Did you?
die.
Yeah, they do wear gloves for a lot of stuff.
Okay, that's good at least.
Yeah.
Fen, did you report it to your boss about the vaping scenario you're talking about?
No, because it's not really my problem. I'm not a supervisor, I just work there. So
Do
if
you
the
have a
boss really
supervisor?
cares about that, they would be more keen on
Disciplined.
looking out for that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you saying he doesn't really care about it then, or what? Do you guys even have a supervisor at that
Oh
place?
boy, that's a whole.
Like
That is
who keeps you
we
guys in
we
line?
had
What?
one, but he was a bit
yeah.
with drinking and stuff.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, that part wasn't mentioned, but I'm pretty sure the boss would probably fire a manager who's
Well,
doing something like
I
that. I
mean,
reckon,
Well, you'd be
unless there's like a
surprised if
personal connection, like
yeah, you'd be
a
surprised.
bias, I guess. If there's a bias,
Yeah,
that could affect their
they were
decision
drinking
making.
buddies, and it took one of our best employees quitting because of a situation where he made another server very upset for the owner to realize I need to look
Terrible.
into this and let him go. And I'm glad that the guy came back who quit because of it after the dude was let go. So that was that was it was just a whole rough situation,
Sounds like
honestly.
a
And
terrible work
I don't
environment.
dislike the guy.
Yeah.
I just think he has a lot of issues he should have taken out in better ways. Because I never personally hanged out with him outside of work, hung out with him outside of work, but I heard a lot of people in the at the restaurant that did, and they all said that he's like a completely different person. He's a lot more chill, relaxed, and just actually
Hmm.
kind of fun to be around.
yeah,
But
I
some
personally
people
really
can't
like
handle the
him
stress.
outside of
Yeah,
work. He's someone that I knew since I was a kid.
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, our prep cook is my uncle, and they were all really close friends, and I've known them
Oh
for
yeah, okay, that
pretty
makes
much
more
my whole
sense.
life. So I
Yeah.
personally really liked him, but
The work environment is supposed to be professional, and your managers should not be drinking on the job because obviously it impacts their like decision making skills, their temperament, and just themselves in general. You know, being drunk is not something you should be doing during the
Mm-mm.
job at all. And I understand like you're maybe friends with the boss, but at some point, if you're the boss, you should realize like my workers don't like this, and the most valuable material to a business is the workers, basically.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called, human management, whatever it's called. That's why so many people were quitting, and they probably realized that, and that's why they fired that guy, because that was the reason of it. One of the many. I'm sure there's more reasons for him quitting, but that was probably one of the key reasons.
That was that was the biggest one, for sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy how, like, your new job, you're saying you're getting kind of bored of doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
That's another, like, management thing, is they'll oftentimes, like, shift your job to, like, different things just so you're not as bored.
Kind of rotation.
And it's, like, motivation.
It's not really the job itself I'm bored with. It's just kind of how I have the same schedule for a week at a time, and it's just kind of like week after week. No, I don't really know, because I like knowing what I'm getting into. But it's that I don't have a lot outside of work and school. Right now, it's kind of just work on the days I work, come home, do homework, relax for like 2 hours, and then go to bed. And then I go to school on some days. One day I just drive up here, have one class, and then drive back down. So that day is kind of my chill day.
Yeah.
My day off, I also usually kind of chill on, but usually I spend that doing some like housekeeping stuff and doing homework, and so it's
more free time.
Yeah, it's kind of a free time, and this is going to be a thing for the foreseeable future of my career, because the degrees I want to go into, or the fields, they require quite a bit of schooling. So it's only going to get worse from here, but it's just kind of that's why I'm looking forward to Halloween so much. And then I'm going to an amusement park next week, a week from today, actually. So just kind of stuff like that. Cedar Point in Ohio.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about talking about that. Like, what are your guys' opinions on, like, the amusement parks doing, like, the scary stuff for Halloween, like spooky?
I don't know. I'm interested, because I don't know almost anything about it other than it exists. So I'm interested. I like spooky things. I'm not a person who gets very afraid by pretty much anything, and so anything physical at least. So with rides and stuff, it kind of gives me a thrill that I don't usually otherwise feel. So it's really fun for me. I think I know there's one, and I told my friend who set all this up, it's like this ride that I don't think I'm gonna go on, but I saw it on YouTube Shorts, and it, like, you go and you stop and the track just ends right here. So you just stop and it's hanging over a giant cliff.
That's crazy.
And the entire track rotates like this, and then a straight drop down. And I'm like, yeah, you're not getting. If you try to force me on this, I will tell you to go fuck yourself. I'm not doing that. So there is a line I have, but in general, like, I like thrill seeking and stuff. We did this really cool thing in AP Physics last year with the plane. That was really fun. I loved being able to pilot it and going up and then nose diving to feel zero gravity, and also being able to feel 2Gs and stuff.
I felt negative gravity. Yeah. Orion went too far down.
Yeah,
and that's when stuff starts moving up.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. I kind of wish that I had something like that, because we dove twice per person. So yeah, that got me going a bit, and that was really enjoyable for me. I wish my partner actually recorded properly, but the time she recorded me doing it, she dropped the phone because she was terrified, and then when I was recording her doing it,
Why?
and I kind of get this. It's like from what I gather, it can kind of be a feeling of not having control. And that's why I'll never do drugs or anything like that, is I don't like the feeling of not being in control of my own body. Yeah, so I don't like the feeling of not being in control of things. So, and I'm guessing it's something similar to that, as well as just it can be a weird experience, a scary experience, feeling weightless a few thousand feet up in the air. So, but when I recorded her when she did it, she put her hand on the ceiling like this to try and brace herself, so she didn't feel the gravity. She did. Yeah, but she like held on to the ceiling, and her arm was right in the way of the phone. All I got was just her arm hitting the ceiling, and I'm like, come on.
It'll be funny. She held your phone out the window.
Oh boy, no.
Did you get to touch the cloud?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome as well. I always wondered what a cloud would feel like, and I kind of felt like I kind of in my head knew it was just going to be, because it's just condensation. So I knew it was going to just be kind of wet. But yeah, that was one of the most fun things we've done recently.
Yeah.
driving there, being forced to listen to anime music the whole time wasn't the best, but
Hey, that's
it's
with your
not really
with your
my
part with
taste.
your partner K Diddy. That's kind of a
Your
key
partner was
trait.
K
Let's
Diddy.
not refer to her as
That,
that.
okay, what do you want to call her?
Anything but that.
Ben, do you have an idea?
I think K Diddy works, especially with the. We know that K Diddy's kind of been trying to Diddy you.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. That did not
Yeah.
that's not a
This
thing.
is a pot we don't have to stir. This is a pot that we do not.
Yeah, I there's a lot of rumors about that, or not rumors, speculation among my
true?
friends about that. I don't know. Everyone seems to think she has a thing for me. I don't. It might just be the oblivious guy thing. It might be because I
I
just
think
don't
she
want it to be
does,
true.
personally.
But either way, I'm just kind of.
I would not want it to be true.
K Diddy had feelings for you. We just gotta.
I'd put her down
started the
gently.
We
bit.
haven't
No,
had
I'd put her down gently because I'm
We
not.
haven't been to the Halloween party yet. We never know what could happen.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it is at
boy.
her house.
It is,
Something-
yes.
She might try to make a move.
Let's
if he
not do
does.
that. No. Let's hope not.
I hope not. That'd be so awkward for everyone else too.
Or
I
maybe
don't, I don't think
K
she would.
Diddy, K Diddy and Orion, maybe. Right?
That's a treat for him when he listens to this.
I bet Orion would want to get K Diddy, bro.
I don't know about that. I think Orion.
He's
One
got-
thing I've always admired about Orion and wish that I've had for myself is he doesn't have as many emotions. And
What? I think Orion's just struggling silently and no one knows.
No,
'Cause
yeah, and I do
definitely
know.
been going through it.
I do know. Yeah, no, I do understand that, but also it's more of a like relatable to other people thing, like struggle relating to other people, which I do as well. I feel like a lot of the stuff I've gone through, and it's something I've tried to get better at, but a lot of the stuff I feel like that I've gone through makes it difficult for me to relate to other people.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that, and with emotions for me, I hate how powerful my emotions are compared to what normal people's would be, because with me it's either 0 or 2,000%. Nothing can just be average when it comes to my emotions. If I'm angry, I am livid, and it takes a lot to get me like actually angry. I get irritated easily, but when I get angry, I will like it. Especially when I was younger, I'd let it build up and not release it, which is part of the reason I've been taking up metal screaming, and metal music has been a thing for the past 8 years of my life, is it helps me release that. But otherwise, I would build it up, and I would just get to a point and somebody would set me off and I would just black out. And I'd like reawaken, collect myself, and not know what happened, like what I said. I've never attacked anybody. I never would unless in a defensive situation. Yeah. But yeah, it's something it's been taking me a while to get control over is my emotions and stuff. So I've gotten better about that. But yeah, with emotions for me, it's either 0 or just 2,000%, and I've kind of tried to get better with that.
Specifically, anger as well.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to make me actually mad.
Mhm.
Like sometimes I'll just act mad to rage bait sometimes, but a lot of the time I'm not actually mad. But it takes a lot to make me actually mad because I can keep calm pretty easily.
There's just a few things like betrayal is a big one with friends, significant others, anything like that. Just I don't like feeling like I've been used, and I already have trust issues, like letting people in, and I try cutting myself off for people for stuff as kind of like a defense mechanism. I feel like is what my consciousness or subconscious tries to chalk it up to. So when I do, and then they use that against me, it just switches something in me that. So there's few things like that just will fully just send me and without fail. But it, like you said, it does take a lot to normally just actually make me angry. I'll get stressed out because I have a lot of like stressful stuff. Sometimes work can be rough. Sometimes like medical stuff with me or family or arguments or something. Like sometimes it'll just be stress, and that can build and affect me negatively. And I'm one of those people where my mental health can also kind of affect my physical health and vice versa. So when I'm sick and I'm stuck at home and in my room all day, I kind of get into a lower mental state. Or when I'm in a lower mental state, my stomach will be upset and I'll feel like headache and stuff. So it's kind of a really just unfortunate situation, but it's been something I've been working on with metal music has helped, and punching bag, boxing and stuff like that, and certain activities. Drawing, I love art, so drawing, writing helps put, that's what my book is I like putting just words and feelings into what I'm writing about, even though it's fictitious. It kind of has parallels to how I feel. So stuff like that helps get it out.
Is your book going to be like a public thing, like something you actually
Yeah.
try to get
So
published?
my grandma, both of my grandmas actually, know publishers and stuff, and I know Amazon publishing is super easy. I've had some people proofread what I have written already,
Yeah.
and I've been working on this for years. It's not something that I just kind of sat down. I'm like, I should write a book. This has been like a several years. Like, all right, I need to build it in my head and come up. So I made charts and stuff. I have page after page of notes, and I got to a point where it's actually a trilogy of 3 books, and I have everything planned out finally. So I'm in the process of writing the first one. I'm a third, maybe halfway done with the first one. I also had a little hiccup where I added something that I thought was gonna help, and I thought it was kind of cool, but it turned out to just limit me. So I ended up just rewriting the entire beginning of what I had written. So there's been some stuff, and there's a lot of rewrites, or there's a lot of editing and stuff, and it's a lot of time, especially with how busy I am with school and work and stuff. But yeah, it's going good so far, and I've had all the people who've read it and proofread it and stuff. People who have either published books, or some people who teach classes about that. I've had literature teachers want to read parts of it and stuff and help me. They all said that it's on par with a lot of like actual novels, which I'm,
that's good.
if not better than some. Yeah, I have a good friend. He read it, and he said he reads religiously. Like, this man could read a 1,200-page book in under a week. I admire him for that. I could never. It took me
What would you call
several
him?
weeks. Huh?
What would you call him? Like a nickname that I might know who you're talking about.
My CAD buddy.
I know.
MT. Yeah.
Yeah, MT.
Yeah,
I know
MT.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
a
pretty
real one.
awesome. Yeah, he helped me a lot as well with like reading and stuff, because with CAD we would always be the first to finish. Like, we would just get 100% on the assignment, turn it in, and then we'd have 50 minutes left of class to just do whatever, and we're like, all right, now what? So that's when I would write a lot. He would read, and he would want to read what I have written, and
Yeah.
if I had writer's block or something, or I needed like an idea of how to do something in a way
help
that makes
you.
sense,
Yeah.
he was always there to help, which is awesome, and I am forever thankful for that. And so yeah, that was probably one
Do you
of
still
my.
talk to him?
Yeah, he's
I haven't in a while.
yeah. It's we don't talk as much just because we're both busy with school and stuff. But yes, I used to. We actually him, and another one of our buddies. We played paintball, or not paintball, airsoft and BB guns, because we didn't have enough
pear?
airsoft.
Pair? Yeah.
Yeah, pair. So we played we played some airsoft, and for an initiation, they were like, "All right, you got to stand out a few yards out, and you've got to just let us shoot you in the back." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, wow.
My dumbass wore a short sleeve shirt,
That's
and they
terrible.
shot me, like the first one, MT shot me bare skin, and I'm like,
They start bleeding?
"Really? No." So it left a pretty big welt, but it didn't hurt too much. It kind of felt just like a little bee sting, kind of, or a little pinch. But I just turned around, like, are you fucking kidding me with this? And then the other guy just semi-auto just blares it, or full auto
my
just
God.
blares it, and I'm like, really? So luckily him, he was hitting the vest, and I made sure to wear, because this was also in the middle of summer, and like I said, I don't do well with heat, so I wore a short sleeve shirt because I knew I was going to be wearing a vest, headgear, helmet, glasses, mask for mouth guard, all that stuff. And yeah, so I wore the proper protection minus the arms, so I took a few shots there. I ended up accidentally shooting one of them in the dick a couple times.
wow.
Yeah,
Did
I
they have
did
a
not
cross guard
mean
on?
no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was luckily it was one of the less powerful BB. It was more of a pellet gun. Like, it was one of those like lever action, and then you shoot once.
It still
and then you
gotta
have
hurt, though.
No, it doesn't feel good still. But yeah, so I've made sure to apologize for that. I felt bad, but I also thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So do you want to like talk about your book, like what it's actually about, maybe?
I'll go into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's very dark. It's definitely intended for more mature audiences, but it's based on the concept. So I started doing this, like I said, for years. I did this before the multiverse became like a super big, like everything had to be the multiverse.
Yeah.
But the way I do it is differently. It's not about the multiverse, it just has different worlds in it. But it's the concept of many gods existing, but instead of being benevolent beings, they are more corrupt and cynical. And there is a god, kind of like the Christian god, like a ruler of everything. But the main idea is that God is fallible. Instead of being all powerful,
Yeah.
he can make mistakes too. And that's actually why the multiverse exists in the first place, is it was a mistake. So it all hinges around the mistakes of gods, and mainly the main one, and kind of how corrupt and power things can be. And it has a lot of allegories in it, and some of it is how I apply it to my real life. The main character, I like to
Is it based
interpret
off of you?
as me, except it's me if I didn't get the help that I needed. It's me if it was just all of my worst attributes, so like all of my bad thoughts and
You know
emotions.
what that
And
reminds me of?
what?
Was it the Sentry? Is it the Sentry? What's that one superhero?
Oh,
Void.
Bob, the Void.
Yeah,
I love
that. Reminds me of the Void.
You know, I've kind of cut myself off from Marvel lately because there's been a lot of flops. I really enjoyed that movie.
It's so good.
But yeah, it's not quite like that, where it's like with the Void, it's paranoid schizophrenia embodied, which I really like how they do it. Mental illnesses are kind of like my favorite superhero is Moon Knight, dissociative identity disorder. So I thought I like those kind of things, but this is more like just if I was just the worst version of me that I could be, and me, just all the parts of me that I hated. And obviously, because it's a narrative, I dialed it to a more extreme. And there's substance abuse in it. I've never abused substances before, and I do not plan on it. So I'm not saying it's a one-to-one recreation of me, but a lot of how he works, how he thinks, what he says, it's based off of me. From the parts of me that I despise, like the parts of me that I'm glad that I've helped keep under control, get rid of, any of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a lot darker, and there's a lot of allegories for different things. Corrupt power is one of them, obviously, and mental illness, or kind of not really mental. It's kind of a mental illness, but like self-destructiveness is another big one. Just stuff like that, and yeah. So it's a lot going on, but I've got it in a way that it all makes sense and stuff, and I'm really proud of a lot of the kind of ideas and stuff and parallels, and even some of the like more I like messing a little bit with like mind-bendy stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of stuff that's troublesome to wrap your head around, and then it all makes sense. So I'm proud of the stuff like that too, where it's kind of like a little thriller-ish as well.
So like a lot of unexpected things happen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that, and I don't go too dark with things. There's a lot of like kind of like blood kind of stuff. Like
Is there any
if it was
gore?
a show, a little bit, but it's like because it's all like superpower based kind of superpower. Like I said, they're gods, and one of them. I'm not going to go too far into details because I'd like to keep it mainly a surprise, but blood is a key to the entire thing. And it's not in a sense that's like, not like in a sense that it's bad, like just gore for the sake of gore. Blood specifically has something about it, and it's something that's unique in my stories.
Do you see your book becoming a series or like a standalone thing?
It's going to be a standalone. It's 3 books because just fitting all of that into one, and I already have the names and stuff picked out. And each it has like a main IP name, and I'm gonna keep that secret for now, just so I can get the rights to it. Yeah. No thieving my ideas.
Yeah.
No, but so it's all got like an IP name and all 3 share that, and then it's got like a secondary name and each of it they're metaphors in each one. What's up, Kat? But yeah, so there's those 3, and I kind of plan on keeping those just kind of self-contained. And I've thought about writing short stories as kind of spin-offs, and Orion actually is writing one. A little. It's more so stuff that it's such a big world building thing that you can't include everything. So it's like smaller stuff that's not important enough to keep in the but it's cool. What's that? Windows
We don't care about that.
But so it's kind of like stuff that's that's interesting and not important enough that you need to know it to understand the main series, but it's more cool details. And Orion is actually writing one, I believe, for it, and he was a big inspiration for a lot of it. He helped develop the main antagonist,
Is it
and
based off of him as well?
no,
It's
I
not
don't
him.
believe so.
Okay.
I do kind of have characters in it. They don't share the same names, but I kind of base some personalities with their permission on different characters and stuff, and I get their inputs on that, which is cool.
Anything based off of
You'll
us?
have to wait and see. You gotta wait and
Okay.
see. Talk to you guys in private about that. But yeah, I try and put a lot of like a lot of parallels from my life, but turned more narratively and more metaphorically into a story. Just some stuff that's happened and my friendships and stuff and
Would
people.
you, since you've been writing it for so many years, your writing back then, since you were feeling differently, probably is a lot different than now. Or
Yeah, so the main character has definitely changed a lot. So,
well, it's character
yeah,
development
no,
as
I
you're
mean,
aging.
not just that, but like just who he is has changed a lot, and even just design wise. But he's definitely, there's definitely parts of him that I've taken out, a lot that I've added and stuff, and all of it makes sense. I make sure it all makes sense and stuff. But it's a very, the way I have everything, I'm pretty visual, so I have a lot of charts and notes and stuff, but I have to make sure all of it goes together and I don't add unnecessary detail because there's just not a lot of room for that. But
Mhm.
I'm aiming for like the normal kind of narrative of like 400 pages per book, and it looks like that's going to be a pretty achievable goal.
So 1,200 total.
Yeah.
What genre would you say is the book?
That I wouldn't know. So like you said, it's changed a lot because I was younger. So
Well, each book
it
could have a different
started off.
genre as well.
It's mainly going to be the same as a lot of darker themes. I don't really know what the correct term would be.
Wouldn't it be
It's like
fantasy?
almost thriller, a
Isn't it
little
fantasy?
bit
Because it's
fantasy,
not.
but it has a lot of elements of like sci-fi too. I don't lean into the sci-fi as much as I used to because it used to be like almost mainly sci-fi.
Well,
Like
book one could be sci-fi, and then if you
kind of, but
turn
I'm
it down,
so with writing is you want with a series you want to expect the same thing. So like I'm a big fan of Star Wars. It's my favorite franchise. So like the first six movies, I know there's some debate between original trilogy and prequel trilogy. I know a lot of OG hardcore original trilogy fans don't love the prequels, but it's kind of common consensus that the sequels are pretty bad.
yeah,
And
that's a
there's a lot of
common
reasons for
opinion.
that, and a lot of it is because of change that, like a drastic change. And a lot of it is writing, and there's a lot of just really glaring issues with that that make it really hard to enjoy, but and accept as part of the franchise. But when I feel like personally, when reading a series or writing a series, they have to they have to have the same expectations, and that's been another thing I've been trying to push really hard for myself is there's a lot of really high points and there's a lot of like kind of middle ground points, and I try not to like I don't want to have the first one just blow the second one out of the water and then the third one be good, like
That's how
just kind of
books
good.
usually are too.
Yeah,
The first one's always the best, and after that, it's just
yeah.
like
So
meh. I've
good.
noticed.
And a reason for that a lot of the time is because they will originally write one and it'll do super well, and then they'll be like, okay,
They do
well,
that
what
in
if I
movies
do
a
that more?
lot.
And they do that in movies a lot,
Yeah.
and that's another reason Star Wars
Happy
sequels are so
Gilmore.
bad. Is Star Wars had a perfect ending, and then all of a sudden they introduced all this new stuff that just didn't make any sense and not just didn't make sense, but undid a lot of what was already done and ruined a lot of stuff. So that's part of the reason. That's another reason I'm having three books and keeping it at that. I did kind of so the ending of the third is going to be an interpretive ending, kind of. So
It's interesting.
it's gonna end in a way where there's there's like a definitive of what happened, but it's kind of you get to
Like
decide what
why it
happens
happened,
next.
or
Yeah.
what happened
So
after.
you
Okay.
get to decide what happens next. It ends with basically a fork in the road kind of where they can go from here. So I kind of like the idea of readers going through that. I do have if it doesn't turn out as so I've described the ending to a lot of people, a lot of my friends who have
It's on
known
it.
and see,
Okay.
and they really like the ending. But if and I don't want to just write what people want. Like I want to write what I want so that other people can enjoy it, but I don't want to write because other people expect
Well,
something
it's
from
yeah,
me.
it's
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've kind of gone back and forth. I do have ideas for maybe a fourth, but I'm very much leaning towards no with that. But it would be if the outcome of the third is really like poorly received of like not really I don't think it will be poorly received. I think more so they will want more.
Yeah.
And there's a hint at
So
what actually could happen at the end. So I'm pretty definitive on leaving it just a three and having it be a kind of open-ended ending in a sense because I feel like I said with the
you don't
whole
want to keep it going for
optimistic
too long.
nihilism thing, people
Yeah.
can decide what decision's a big choice or yes. But decision is a big important thing to me. So I feel like giving people a choice in
Mhm.
what they want to happen, and it's not like a huge like they decide like the final chapter. Like it's more just you get to
They can
kind
fill
of
in the
choose. Yeah.
gaps,
So
basically.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's something I like about Bloodborne a lot. Actually, is there's a lot. The lore is so complicated, and it's based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, which I am very fascinated in. And he actually is a lot of inspiration to some of how the gods work in my setting a little bit. They're very different, and the more you read into the series, the more you'll realize that the gods are not who they seem to be. There's more to them than you think, and that kind of builds off of kind of what H.P. Lovecraft had going on. But yeah, I like stuff like that.
Yeah. I had a question about your
Yeah.
book. So you know the ending for your third book, right? Does
Mhm.
that mean you already figured out your first two books as well?
Yeah, yeah. So
Are they
there's a
finished?
little bit of gaps I need to write to fill in, but I have the main idea for each one and the main like sections
You
of
just
each
have
one
to
planned
write it
out.
all out now?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
this is like my third time trying to actually write it. First time I just tried going in and writing
Yeah, you need to get a
while coming up with
layout.
it,
You got to get a
and that is
layout
not good.
first.
And I was also like
Yeah.
15 when I started doing that, so and that was after a few years of already researching. So then, or not researching, but coming up with ideas. But then I kind of stopped and I was like, all right, this is not the way to do it. So then I got an idea and then I started writing, and then I realized one of the biggest things that I thought was going to make it, oh, excuse me, unique, actually limited severely what I could do with it.
What was that thing?
It worked with how, so one of the things that makes my multiverse kind of different is people are not intended to travel through it, and there's only a few people that can not people but there's only a
Gods.
few reason there yeah so there's one god that can and kind of two but there's only one so there's pretty much one way to go through it and I found myself with an issue of taking that and going too far where something would actually prevent you from doing that with a
Hmm.
lot of it and I found myself having to be like having to write more side stuff about okay, well, now he has to make sure he does this so that he can go forward. And that would just kind of limit it. And then later on, with what I planned, with he kind of meets a group of people that he travels with a little bit, then I'd have to do the same thing with them, and it would be a repeat of what he had to do to be able to do it, and them, and it just kind of limited it, and not just how much it limited it, but it also didn't add anything. It didn't make it a better story with it there. All it did was limit it,
Yeah.
and it just kind of added filler. And I'm a big negative on filler. So
Everyone hates filler,
yeah,
especially
but
me.
I'm like actively trying to avoid it, especially with this because
Mhm.
this is one of my biggest passions. I wish I need to start setting aside more time and actually get through working on it more. But this has been something that's made me really happy working on, and it's made me really happy hearing what other people have to say about it because I definitely enjoy constructive criticism, and the ideas that people have given me have helped me a lot. And I've also gotten a lot of positive feedback on it. And ever since I was young, my teachers for literature would always tell me, "Hey, you're pretty advanced at writing." And then when I got into high school, she told me that she like kind of brought me aside and was like, "Hey, you
Oh,
can,
Mrs.
I don't,
Valbowski.
yeah." She was
Yeah.
kind of like, "Hey, you can if you want, you can do this. I don't usually tell students this, but you're a bit more advanced." And then that transferred even more into my later years of my junior and senior year of high school. She said the same thing, and I had some questions, and she's like, "Normally, I would say no, but the way you're doing it is actually a correct way of doing it, and normally I wouldn't have students. So I've kind of always, that was kind of like what the Kickstarter of me believing in myself, because for the longest time it was just kind of a dream. Like writing this book, it's kind of just been a dream of mine to do, but never something I thought I would actually be able to do because I doubted my ability to do it. But then I started doing that, and they started kind of, my teachers kind of helped me realize, hey, I do have some potential. And when I started, I had some teachers read it, I had some family members, I had some just people that my family knows that I have no relation to. And the more people that read it, the more positive feedback I got, and it kind of gave me the confidence I needed to be able to start doing something like this.
So, if your book, like when it is finally released, if it like really takes off and like sells a lot, would you consider becoming an author, maybe as a job? Or do you just consider it like a side hobby?
My main focus, or my main like passion in life, is science. I love the unknown. Like ever since I was a kid.
About science.
So I could technically do that. I do have some ideas. Like I've just written down in my notes app that I have some other ideas for like short stories and stuff I could do. But I don't know if I'd actually go through with it, just because it would be a complete shift in what I have to do, and science is something I'm really passionate about. So, I feel like I'd have more fulfillment researching things, because one of the reasons I love researching so much, or like scientific research so much, is I like the idea that I could discover something that nobody else has ever known. So I think that that's cool, and I'm really fascinated in the unknown, and I like knowing as much things as I can. So researching stuff that people don't know about, it kind of brings joy to me. And that's been since I was a kid. Where I used to live, we would get pretty frequent tornadoes, and I was terrified of them. I would always, like, I was like a toddler to 7 years old, I'd like throw a blanket over my head because the darkness helped make me feel calm. So I would like bury my face in a pillow or throw a blanket on me, and the darkness kind of helped calm me down a bit. But what actually ended up helping me was researching them and learning more about them. And the more I understood, the more comfortable I was. And it got to the point where now I love storms. Like if I need help sleeping, my mind races a lot and I can't sleep without noise. So I usually have a fan going, but if I'm at a friend's house and I'm sleeping, I'll throw on like thunderstorm noises because it helps me relax. And one of the things that I miss dearly about my dad being around and me seeing my uncle more and living with them is we would get like really bad storms and we'd go outside and just watch them. We would just talk and watch the storm, watch the lightning, hear the thunder, and it helped me calm down, and it has since become an obsession of mine. Like if there's a thunderstorm, I love just going outside under a tree or under something from protection from rain and watching them. And obviously if there's like an imminent tornado, I'm not gonna stay outside. Hell, we got one in Canada a couple times. A couple years ago, actually, we got one dropped right on top of our car. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, so we were we just got across the border and we turned into a city, first city after the border, and the skies were just black. And we're like, ooh, there's a pretty big thunderstorm coming. Well, we kept driving and we were in the middle of the city, and then something just doesn't feel right. And the clouds are kind of rotating and shifting and moving really quickly, and Mom starts getting kind of nervous, and I'm like, and then I look around and I'm like, hey Mom, there's no power across the entire town. So we look around, every light is off, every single one, and we're like, and then the second it clicks what's happening, car goes off and our phones go off of a weather emergency alert saying there's a tornado. So we drove. My mom had no idea what to do. Like, she said that it was the first time she's ever had to be an adult in a situation. Not first time she's had to be an adult, but like it's the first time there's been an experience like that, where a life or death where she's the one that's in power. Yeah, and she panicked. We called my grandpa, who we were going to visit, and he was like, all right, get under an overpass. So, because I know they say to get into a ditch, that's the last thing I'm doing. I'm not jumping out of my car and sitting in a ditch. I don't care if it's safe or not. That sounds terrifying. Oh, Fenton dipped.
It's okay. We can continue on the podcast without him.
But yeah, so we got under an overpass, and then I checked my phone, and there was I checked the the radar, and it was coming right for us. I'm like, Mom, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We outdrove it, but it's coming right towards us. So we drove, and we were in the middle of nowhere at this point, and we stopped at the safest place in all of Canada, a Timmy's. So we just stayed at a Tim Hortons the whole time, and it ended up going around us. And it ended up going completely around us, so we were safe, luckily. No, I don't think it was. I mean, like, they heard about it, but it wasn't like the cars were being shaken or the trees were sideways or anything like that. Like, when it first happened and we were at that intersection, there was literally tree parts flying around in the air and stuff. Like, we had to get out of there. But that was so out of the way. Like, we drove as fast as we could out and to try and get out of there, and we got out. But I don't think it reached there.
I've never had a close call with
this is where it sounds unbelievable, but that's not the first time that happened. We have had 2 tornadoes drop on our car, both in Canada. The other one,
that's a bad omen.
it wasn't just that, it was around my birthday. The first one was on my birthday, and the second one was 3 days after. So we have a family joke that my birthday just brings catastrophe. Yeah. So, yeah, for real. So the first time I was like, I think we just had moved here. So then we were going to a family reunion in northern Canada. And when we were driving, we were in the middle of nowhere. And then the same thing, purple, black skies. So we're like, uh-oh. And then the car starts shaking violently. And it's actually the same car I'm driving now. So you see how small that thing is.
Yeah.
That thing. And what ended up happening, we got blown into the next lane. The entire car got blown into the other side of the road. So we're like, okay. So we just drove until we could find something. And we're in the middle of nowhere. We have barely any reception. We found this ghetto gas station. And we parked there. And we hid in there. And the tornado was actually around us. The whole place was shaking. The lights went out.
Gosh.
Yeah, I was freaking out because, like I said, I studied tornadoes, but I was still like 7, 8 years old.
Oh wow.
So like I was panicking. I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So I thought right there it was game over. I'm like, well, I've lived a pretty happy 8 years of my life for the most part. This is it. But no, we ended up. It passed pretty quickly. It was like 1 or 2 workers at most. I don't remember. But yeah, there was just so much going on. Like, I have a very good memory of when I was younger, but there was so much going on. Like, I could picture the gas station. I could picture the entire event. All I remember is there was one guy behind the counter. We just got in as soon as we could and ducked down, and then the power went out and everything was rattling. There was shit falling off the counters or off the shelves and stuff. It was pretty. Yeah, so. But it passed pretty quick, and then it turns out there was actually 8 tornadoes that day that simultaneously happened there. Just just normal stuff. I'm not a meteorologist, but like cold fronts, warm fronts meeting and stuff like that. So it was just a huge thing. I'm guessing big ass warm front, big ass cold front hit, and a bunch of ones formed. That was the one that was on my birthday. So, yeah, that was a traumatic experience. But looking back on it, I kind of laugh now and think it's kind of cool that I did experience something like that.
Things are.
Yeah.
Depending on how serious it is, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But about your book, so I've heard of, like, from most books, there's always a lesson. Is there a lesson in your book, would you say?
There's a few. One of the big ones, so I was earlier telling you about how I push myself a lot, and physically and mentally. Well, the main character, he starts off as a normal dude, and he starts transitioning into godhood, and so it's taking his body time to adjust. No, he was born completely, I'll say why, but he was completely human, and then he found something, or something found him, that could turn him. So he started getting all this power and stuff. And he liked having that because he didn't have control of his life for the beginning. It was just a lot of bad hands. He was had a horrible past. So he finally had this new power, and he's like, okay, I can do stuff with this. Well, he kept pushing himself, and his body was. I have not actually seen that yet.
He became Shazam, something like that. I was originally thinking like Percy Jackson because he didn't know he was part. Poseidon, I think, is his dad, right? Poseidon or Zeus.
It's been so long. I haven't read the books yet.
I never knew that until like the prophecy or whatever.
Yeah, so he just started off as somebody who was, in the scheme of things, not important. And so he finally had his power and he felt important. And he felt like he could do stuff with it. Well, he starts pushing himself too far, and his body is slowly adjusting to becoming a god. Like, it's taking time for him to transcend into being able to physically take that much power moving through a mortal body.
Yeah.
And so he he won't go too far past, but he will push his body to the physical limits and often break it. And he often, another theme is he kind of thinks he's, because he has all this new power, that he's above punishment, above morals, above all this stuff, and thinks he's better because of it, and he absolutely isn't. And that's another part of me, is I used to have a pretty inflated ego,
God
and
complex.
not like that, not yeah. And that's kind of a thing that just runs in my family, but that's something that I've definitely severely worked on, and sometimes feels like it's gone too far the other way, but that's something that from my past that I definitely put into him as well. So it's stuff like that, with like him pushing himself and his ego and stuff, and that's
So-
the parts of me that I don't.
So what is the lesson then? Like if you could put into a sentence.
It's honestly pretty
Just to be
difficult.
more humble. Is that the lesson? Be more
Kinda.
humble?
It's more so that people make mistakes, and everybody is human, and you can't be somebody.
And
You
judge
can't act like
people 'cause you're the
it's
same.
yeah. He kind of thinks, Adam is the main character's name. He kind of thinks that he thinks he's above everybody, but you can't go through life thinking that, and you will. Like, one of my favorite show ever is House MD. I love Rick and Morty as well. Stuff like that, where it's a hyper intelligent person, and that puts them above morals and rules and stuff. That always fascinates me. But the truth of that is, it can cause those kind of shows. I love them, but they can cause some harm to people who do think that, because then they think they're above that. And with like House, you will never be so important at a job and needed so much that you can do whatever you want, legal, illegal,
And they're all
and
fictitious.
get
They're
away.
fictional
Yeah,
stories. You
yeah.
can base it on real life.
Yeah, exactly. But some people think, because they think that they're they have a more inflated ego of themselves.
Yeah, the
They
Redditor-
think you'll never be more so important at your job or at something, that you're above consequence and above rules. Like you
Yeah, you're never above the law.
Yeah.
No matter how much you think you're more important than other people,
And-
the law attributes to everybody. So.
And honestly, each book has a more They kind of have their own themes as well, each of the three. But I think looking at the ending, the biggest theme would probably just be that you can't control everything, and because that's
And you have
a
to
lot.
be okay with
So
it. You can't control everything, so
Yeah,
you have to accept
so-
that, right?
yeah, so I think the whole series is a fight for control over everything, and you can't control everything. And that's something that I try a lot. Is I'm kind of a control freak about a lot of my life.
Yeah.
And that stems from my past with my medical history, where I don't have control over that, and it happened at such a young age that it caused some mental
There's a lot of
effects.
things we don't have control over.
Yeah,
Like
so-
your name,
yeah.
your ethnicity, your parents. Like there's a
So
lot of
then
things you can't choose.
I go too far the other way, where I try and fight for control over, or I used to fight for control over the things that I don't have. And I'm still a very, I'm not like a toxic controlling person where I control people, but with aspects of my life, I try and hold control over that as much as I can. But the truth is you don't have control over everything. And you kind of just have to be okay with that. Like, shit happens.
Like
and
natural disasters.
Yeah,
We don't have control
exactly.
over
That's
that. Like the
that's
tornadoes.
one of the reasons I was so afraid of them, is because I
sure
didn't
that
have control
attributed-
over them.
I'm sure that attributed to you wanting to control things.
Yeah.
It's because there's so much uncontrollable things that have happened to you.
Humans
You know?
think that we're above consequence. We think that we're top of the food chain. We think that we're the best species on the planet, but we haven't been here very long, and we already have created the means to destroy ourselves.
We've already created something that is more intelligent than us.
Could be.
It's one mind that has all of our knowledge compiled. So I feel like it is more intelligent.
So-
we literally created something that can take over.
With artificial intelligence, I'm pretty sure I've not brushed up to date on this all too much, but I'm pretty sure that we've studied intellectually, or like how it thinks, and compared it to animals. And in terms of intelligence, AI is currently at the level of a cockroach. So but if it grows and becomes a bigger thing, if it becomes as big of a thing as humans, then think of us. Like, we think that we're above like animals and stuff. So like if
Have
we're
the same
building a
mindset.
highway,
It's built off
yeah,
of us.
yeah.
We'll
So
have
if
mind.
if there's an anthill and we're building a highway,
We're gonna destroy
goodbye
it.
anthill.
The
So
anthill.
what happens if something becomes smarter than us and thinks that we are something like that. We are inferior.
It's the same thing with like aliens, for example.
Yeah.
Like I believe aliens have been to this planet, just not the type of aliens people like generically think of, like the super intelligent green guys.
When you know,
an alien is just a foreign life form. I
Yeah.
believe there's been a foreign life form on
absolutely. If you know how big the universe is, it is almost certain, and how common the ingredients of light is. And this is what happens with the Fermi's paradox. It's so big, the universe is so big, there's the stuff we're made of are not special. We're made of like carbon, oxygen, all this stuff. It's the most common ingredients in the universe. So why is there not so much? Why is there not too much life around? Well, that we can see. So we're trying to detect life as we know it. So like with the recent discovery on Mars, even with just life forms. So like even with just like microbes and stuff, if we're looking for signs that our life is on other planets, so that like carbon based, and the plants that we have and the like phytoplankton and stuff, the reactions they do, and like the stuff that we just discovered on Mars, the patterns on the rocks that pretty much only form with a chemical reaction that forms with life, with microbes, evidence supporting that there was once life on Mars. It's stuff like that. But what if life is completely different than us? What if microbes were like, what if they were based off a completely different element other than carbon? What if they react differently? Like, what if all of their energy comes from sunlight or something? Like, there's a lot more we don't know what to actually look out for. So we're just looking out for what we know as life, and hoping it's somewhere else.
I think it's also a very good possibility that there could be an alien which has a higher intelligence than us, that has, probably discovered light travel, and if they were to discover us, that they would be smart enough to be camouflaged.
Yeah,
they would not be able to discover them.
There's a lot of theories of solutions to the Fermi's paradox. The Great Filter is one of them, which is a terrifying one. Basically saying that
paradox again?
Fermi paradox,
Yeah.
It's just stating that the universe is so big and the ingredients of life is so common. Why are we alone? Or why does it seem we're alone?
I think it's because it's so rare for intelligent life forms.
It took miracle after miracle for us to get to where we are today. And there's extinction level events, asteroids, comets, even
we got super lucky.
Yeah,
with our scenario.
Flood basalt events, even stuff like that. There's even evidence the greatest mass extinction event to date. We don't actually know what caused it, but we theorize it could be a gamma ray burst, which is when a star dies. Instead of exploding like a supernova, it channels all of it into a death laser, basically. So our ozone, we get hit with a bunch of them, but our ozone protects it. But if it's a little bit closer, it could vaporize, immediately get rid of the ozone layer. It can vaporize all life. And that's a theory of how the greatest mass extinction event happened. But there's stuff like that. And then there's the theory of the Great Filter, which is that there's something stopping life from going beyond a certain point. And what makes it so terrifying is we don't know if we're beyond that or not. We don't know if we've moved past that. So it could be like nuclear weapons could be one. AI could be one. Something that we create, or not just we create, but there's just something that we don't know could be preventing life from advancing as far as it can, and we don't know if we're beyond or before that yet.
Most terrifying thing for humans in general is the unknown, and
yeah.
I agree with that, but you really just have to be content with acknowledging that we will never know everything.
Yeah,
because we can never
absolutely
control everything. But that is pretty terrifying to think about. Like, are we above or below the threshold?
And I haven't looked into it too much, but I'm pretty sure another reason that we are here and there's not a lot of super intelligent life out there, or at all from what we've seen, is that the universe is relatively young, and
our universe?
I'm pretty sure that, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's theorized that our universe in development stage, the theoretical life cycle of a universe, we're pretty young relatively, and we developed pretty quick. We had a lot of it took a lot of moving parts to work together. The Milky Way is a galaxy.
Okay,
the universe,
what is like the pecking order of it? Like planet, Solar
So
system.
the solar system is there's a star or sometimes two stars, and they're so think of, are you familiar with the fabric of the universe and universe being kind of like
Cell?
2D? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know.
you
I've heard
displace
about
things,
that.
theory of relativity. So star is a lot of mass. So we got a bunch of smaller objects moving around it. Well, the star is also moving, and we're moving around the Milky Way galaxy,
So what is the
around a
solar
supermassive black hole. So when it comes to stuff like that, what's keeping the galaxy together? Supermassive black holes are the biggest things in the universe, but they're not
Is
big
there
enough to keep that
something-
together. So that's
is
where
there something
dark
that-
energy and dark matter
Wouldn't
come
there
in.
have to be something it is circling as well?
Kind of. So that's
There's always
where
something bigger. There's
that's
always
where
something bigger.
that's where the expansion of the universe happens. So the expansion of the universe is basically there's, from what I understand, which I am a college freshman, so bear with me, is that there's a couple of things. One is that the space between galaxies is getting bigger. So things are actually,
displacement.
so like our galaxy is moving are moving towards the Andromeda. They're on a collision course for each other, and eventually in a the Andromeda galaxy, another galaxy.
Okay.
So we're on a collision course. So the galaxies will slam into each other, they'll mix, and they'll become one big one, or maybe break off a smaller one. But either way, they're gonna merge. But so they're moving towards each other, but at the same time, the distance is getting bigger between them. So they're still gonna collide, but the actual space is expanding between them, and that's for everything. So that's how the universe is getting bigger. There's also the observable universe, where light has a finite speed, and nothing can travel faster than light in a vacuum. So we can only see to a certain point from since the start of the universe where light has traveled. Because the farther we're looking back in the universe, the later we're seeing things happen.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're looking at something 2 billion light years away, we're seeing that object as it was 2 billion light years ago, or 2 billion years ago. So
what
it
we're
could not
observing
exist anymore.
Isn't even
Yeah.
true anymore.
So once you get to the edge of the observable universe, the light is now showing just what the universe was in its early stages, just noise, cosmic noise.
That's true about our
So
sun
we-
as well.
yeah,
If anyone
so-
else is observing it.
So we don't know what's on the other end of that. And that's another reason that the Fermi paradox could exist, is we can't see, like, there could be stuff there now that we just can't see.
We just see it
So,
from millions
where
or
it
billions
was,
of
yeah.
years ago. We don't see it in today's
So
realm.
I'm by no means a master of all of this. I hope to be one day, but there could be discrepancies in what I'm saying. But once we look to a certain point, we can't see beyond the universe. So that begs the interesting question, what's on the other side of the observable universe? What's on the edge of that boundary that we can't see across?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think there's an end?
So that's up for debate. If the universe is finite, it is much bigger than the observable
was
universe
infinite.
is. If it is infinite, that introduces a whole nother can of worms. Because if it's infinite, that means everything has happened, and multiple times, and
That's the theory. Yeah.
that's
what I
where, like,
thought
that's kind of like
it
the
was.
multiverse theory. So if the universe is infinite, then every chain of events, every collision of particles, every formation of stars, all of that has happened again somewhere else. And infinity is impossible for humans to comprehend, because we are just three-dimensional creatures,
we live in a time where it keeps moving forward.
Yeah,
It's not
so
infinite.
it's very hard for humans to perceive, and impossible for humans
At
to
that point,
perceive,
it'd be like
but
4D.
yeah, so that's
honestly.
where, like,
Where
technically
time
time
isn't even-
is the fourth dimension in some
Yeah.
instances, and that's another thing. Is one thing that I wish that humans, I've always been fascinated in like tesseracts, four-dimensional objects, what those would look, or extra dimensional objects. So like when we cast a shadow, like if I put my hand, it looks like somebody drew my hand two-dimensionally on the desk. So a shadow of an
Would be
object
3D.
is the dimension down. So a shadow of a 2D object would be one-dimensional. A tesseract, have you seen that cube thing
Also,
that's moving?
Another thing, though, is whatever dimension you're in, you can only view that dimension and the dimension lower, right? Because we can't.
Kind of,
'cause
you
what
can
is-
visualize
what
it.
is one?
That's just a point. So it's just adding new direction.
But we
So
can't
like
see above.
imagine, so there's a point. A two-dimensional creature looking at a one-dimensional creature is like, okay, you're trapped. Just move to the right. So it just moves on a line, and that's
Yeah,
two
that's
dimensions.
2D.
Well,
You can't move
three-dimensional,
this
yeah.
way.
So then imagine like a two-dimensional. So imagine there's something, a two-dimensional creature stuck in a two-dimensional prison. We could just
Yeah.
say, step out, just go over. Well, what if there's a four-dimensional creature looking at us? We're trapped in
We
something.
can't even comprehend the
Exactly,
direction.
and that's where it's
Yeah.
impossible because we can't add that extra dimension.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we can't even think about what it could be
Now that-
because we observe everything.
That is
in
something
3D.
that I wish humans were able to do because it fascinates me
That'd be
greatly
so
of what it would
trippy.
be like. Exactly,
though.
because
'Cause
like
it
with
would-
time and stuff.
Everything you would know as it is would be different.
Yes, so it's very.
That's one thing humans also fear so much is they fear the unknown and they fear change. They like everything being the same.
That's
They-
That's
and-
the whole thing of nuclear weapons as well. Is it's a fight for control, and we think that because we have the means to annihilate each other, that it'll prevent us. A nuclear deterrent, it's called. So they won't do it because we'll do it back, basically, and they won't fight us because we have nuclear weapons. Now that only works, but then what if we have somebody corrupt in charge or somebody who's not?
Who's insane?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have the morals?
That's why kind
or
of
the-
North
the-
Korea is
the
so.
critical mindset to think, if I do this, the world's gonna end.
Yes.
They just think I hate the Americans. Let's launch a nuke.
So that's why North Korea is so frightening. And I know North Korea just a few days ago, I'm pretty sure, actually released showed off a new nuclear capable missile that they have. Is with that, it's one person in power. It's just one
That's even
rogue
worse.
man.
You need a whole squad.
So-
So at least one person. You know, there was a scenario actually when there was one person in Russia who decided,
Yes.
like, was in a submarine and thought that the nuclear war had already started.
So that
But
was
he against
there's a
it.
few things. There was so many.
remember
I
hearing
love
about that.
studying
The close
stuff like
call.
that. Yeah, there's a lot. We've come dangerously close multiple times.
Yeah,
So
Cuban
the
Missile
Cuban Missile
Crisis.
Crisis is one of the most popular. There was a nuclear submarine off of the coast. So basically, we had nuclear missiles in, I believe, Turkey in case Russia attacked us. Then we have missiles in Turkey and can just launch and attack Russia immediately because Turkey's so close. They did the same thing. They put nuclear missiles in Cuba. And that made us, we were like, you can't do that.
We're doing
yeah,
it.
we're doing it, but you can't. Yeah. So, but then there was this close call where there was a nuclear submarine off the coast of Florida because Cuba and Florida are relatively close. I believe off the coast of Florida. It might have been off Cuba. Either way,
Oh, they're very
Americans were
close.
nearby.
Cuba and Florida are
Yeah.
very close.
So we sent some naval out there, naval boats, and we decided to signal them to surface by dropping flares down or dropping some like charges down. And that was a signal for the submarine to surface. We talk. Well, the submarine they all misinterpreted it as an attack, and they were ready to launch nukes. And it took one
Yeah, there was
person. One
who
person
stopped it.
hesitated and said no. And that's
all it
kind
takes.
of a frightening thing about Russia versus the United States is we think that the United States has this whole chain of command. If the president wants to launch the nukes, he will order it and they will have to do it. And if people don't do it, he has the means to launch it himself. In Russia, it's the opposite, actually. In Russia, opposite of what people think, in Russia, it has to go down a whole chain of command,
It
and
should
people
have
can
to.
say no.
It should have to be.
And it has done that.
Whole chain
And
of
there was
command.
one where
It can't be up to one person.
there was one where a few missiles were detected by the radar system by Russia that said that the United States has launched ICBMs. And it took that man saw that there was only a few of them. And he's like, that's weird. If the United States was going to launch a full-scale attack, they would launch a full-scale attack. They'd throw hundreds, thousands. And
Yeah, we wouldn't send one.
yeah, we
Have a
wouldn't
full
just
set
send
attack.
5 or
It's
10.
either everything
We'd
or
send
nothing with
all
the
of them.
nuclear
Yeah.
warfare.
So
Yes.
we'd send all of them. And he knew that. And he ended up refusing the order. And it's a good thing he did because the radar mistook, I believe, moonlight reflecting off high altitude clouds as incoming missiles. But the sad thing is that cost that man his job. Him saving the world from nuclear assured annihilation is what cost him his job, and he was fired for it.
Well, it was for the greater good.
It was. He saved the planet,
I'm
basically.
sure he was praised.
There's no
for it.
with nuclear war. There's no winners.
Yeah, there is no winners. I think
The winners in nuclear war are the people who get vaporized by the blast. The longer you stay
like
alive,
Fallout.
the more yes, the
IRL.
fallout is the worst part because their radiation is horrifying thing to
things
go
can't
from.
live in radiated areas.
Yeah, and radiation
Can't grow
alone,
crops.
the way it's not a quick death. It is a slow, painful, miserable death. And it also sucks because there's a recession period. So when you have acute radiation syndrome, you will be getting worse and worse. And then there will be a brief 24-hour-ish period where you feel like yourself. You feel like you're cured. You won't show any symptoms. You'll be good. And then after that 24 hours, you recess. And after a few more hours, you're dead, or days. And it's when your skin starts blistering and you start vomiting blood, and it's a horrible. It's because with radiation it destroys with radiation it destroys DNA. It just smashes through it.
So your body doesn't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really bad stuff, and I'm not an expert on any of this, but I'm especially not a medical expert, so I don't know the effects that has, but I know that radiation destroys molecular DNA, and that causes a whole bunch of stuff. And that's with Chernobyl why they originally weren't going to evacuate the city, the Pripyat, because it was Soviet Union. They were going to just say we have to keep. They were actually going to lock them in. So they were going to say nobody can leave the city because we can't let this get out. And then America decided to take satellite pictures of Chernobyl and show the world. And then they're like, all right, well, cat's out of the bag. We can evacuate the city now. So they evacuated the city, and to this day, people aren't allowed to move back there. And when they evacuated the city, they were told to take a few things, leave the pets, leave most items, just take what you can. And they were told that they could go back. And some soldiers actually went, and they were assigned to go and take care of and kill some of the animals that were left behind, like the dogs and stuff. And it's humane, and also so. But it was still a very sad period, and the people were told that they were able to move back, but they never were able to, and to this day they still can't. And
they would die. They would get radiation. Still, it's still there. It's going to be there for years and years.
I know that Chernobyl makes people want to stay away from nuclear energy, but nuclear energy has been it's the cleanest and safest. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It wasn't really fluke. It's because they were cheap, and because they had an insane amount of negligence while testing the reactor. They had this
I thought
test.
There was like one person who was supposed to set for the pressure to come out.
Yeah,
he has never hit the button.
No, so the button it was the AZ5 button, and that was so a nuclear reactor works. There's control rods or fuel rods that go in, they accelerate the reaction. And then there's control rods that go in that decelerate it, and they can monitor how much. So that's where the fatal design flaw came in. So the design flaw is the control rods were made out of, I believe, boron. I don't remember, but no boron. I think I don't remember, but it's some element that decelerates reactivity. Obviously, except they made the tips out of graphite, which accelerates it. And what's the first part of the control rods to enter the reactor? Exactly. So what they did is they had this test, and they had to perform this safety test, or the stress test, basically, to get an improvement on something, and they just wanted it done. So they kept pushing it, and everyone was like, we need to stop. This is going too far. And they're like, nah, it's good. Just keep going. So the director, Dyatlov, kept forcing them to keep going, and then immediately the reaction got out of control. So they hit the AZ5 button, which was supposed to put... So with a reactor, it doesn't usually put all control rods in at once. It just puts some in so that it's just controlling how much the thing is. The AZ5 button was a failsafe that puts every control rod in at once at the same time. So what happened? Every control rod with all of the tips entered first. The second all of those tips entered, there's hundreds of control rods. So the second the tips entered, they got all of the water converted to steam, ruptured the valves, and they couldn't move. So then only the tips were stuck in place in the reactor, and they would not go in anymore, which endlessly accelerated it. And then it blew the several 100-ton lid off of the reactor. And immediately when that came in, oxygen rushed in, and then it exploded. And the unique thing about Chernobyl is that it was the first, I don't know if it was the first, but the reactor didn't melt down. It exploded. The actual core blew up, and they didn't think that was possible. And it took a very long time for them to figure out that's what happened.
I'm surprised they didn't study up more on graphite being a accelerator.
So the thing with that is even with that design flaw, all that did, and they knew something was going on with it because every time they did it,
It would
the
start up and then
acceleration would
start.
spike and then drop
Yeah,
immediately. So they knew
obviously
something
there's
was going
something
on,
wrong
but they
with it.
didn't really look into it. And if it was just a normal, like just needed to be controlled, that wouldn't, all of those entering, it would have made it skyrocket for a second, but it wouldn't have made the reactor explode. It was that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. The
Well, them
main
getting
thing was
stuck,
the stress test that
right?
Diatlov
They got
forced.
stuck.
Yeah. The main thing was the only reason that that happened was because, like, it would have still spiked, but the only reason that it caused it to explode is because of the stress test that Diatlov put on it and forced them to keep pushing it more and more because they wanted results and they wanted it to be signed off. So they pushed it way too far
Or were
and
they
were
trying to
criminally
learn?
negligent. That I don't remember. It was like a requirement. They had to do this test and they had to pass it and to get the reactor to a certain wattage, I think.
Just overworking it.
Yeah, so they had to do it, and so that they could get signed off and have the proper documentation or whatever. I'm pretty sure, but
Even if
they
you
just
kill
wanted to they just
everybody.
wanted to get it
Okay.
done, and they built the reactor poorly and managed it even poorer. And it even continued after that. Like it wasn't just the whole situation with Chernobyl was just bad after bad management, because even after it finally exploded, it took days for them to evacuate the city, and then they hastily built this, it's called the sarcophagus, just a shell around the reactor that barely
It did not
ended
hold in
up, it
any
did
of the
not. So then
radiation.
they built the arch, which thanks to Russia has a giant hole in it now, actually, as of January this year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they during the war with Ukraine, because it's in Ukraine, they flew a drone by accident and blew a hole in the side of it, so now it's leaking radiation again, and
Hopefully they seal
hopefully
it
there's
back
no
up.
hot particles. Hot particles are the scariest part of that. But yeah, so it was just bad after bad, and it never was fully contained properly. And now that there's the arch, it's a lot better. But
Well, there's a hole in it.
it's you
So
can take. I'm pretty sure they offer tours around Pripyat still, but they do it in a way. They always have the dosimeters so that
oh
they
yeah,
can
so they know
detect.
if
Yeah,
they're too,
and
yeah.
there's a really dangerous thing, which is the hot particle, and that is a piece of often microscopic, like metal or something. It's just a tiny little thing. If you inhale that tiny invisible speck, you are dead with no cure. Because that is if it's a radioactive piece, like a super
How fast
irradiated
does it
piece of
kill
metal,
you?
that I don't. It could be days to a couple weeks, and it's very bad. And when one of the interesting things is Chernobyl actually almost had a second explosion shortly after. They had to have some men dress up in these lead scuba gear to go
Mhm.
under inside the radioactive water to, I think, release some valves and clear out some water. Because if it melted all the way down, it would have had a second explosion, and then a third of Europe to this day would be uninhabitable. I'm pretty sure. And it's
Well, thank
so,
God
yeah,
for
so
that.
two men seemingly sacrificed their lives. I believe they somehow both lived actually through that, which is interesting because liquidators and stuff, they were all killed. Like the people sent to shovel debris, they were all dead.
Well, they weren't they wearing a suit to protect them?
Yeah, but even then, it's so hard. Like you need a lot of lead. Like sometimes it's like a meter of lead wall to stop gamma rays.
So, what's the half life of that particle you were talking about?
I
'Cause I feel
don't
like
know. It
something
depends,
superheated
but
wouldn't have a life that long.
that's kind of I'm not too sure on, and there's definitely not a ton of them, and they're they do
This,
this thing. I believe I just recently learned how they find them is they find an area. It will be an astronomical amount of rads it's releasing. So they detect where they think one is, and then they like kind of create a pile of that, and then they cut it into parts, and then they find which section it's in. They find it, and then they divide that into parts, and then they just keep doing it until it's smaller and smaller until they find it.
okay.
But yeah, so it's I'm not too sure on the half life or anything like that, but I just know how dangerous they are and why you need to be careful. Excuse me, with those.
So with the hole now in the dome, how far could the radiation theoretically even
That I'm not sure. It's not a like it's a pretty big hole, but it's not like it's not gonna cause any lasting effects. I don't believe it just makes the area unsafe even
again?
more,
Yeah.
which it's finally clearing up a bit. Like there's plants, and I'd love to tour Pripyat someday because it's an abandoned city taken over by plants and animals and stuff like that. That sounds awesome, but so I'd love to see that someday, but that just makes it more dangerous to go to the reactor building. I don't think people really go there anyway, but
Yeah, it's
I'll
dangerous.
I'll probably do that after this is research. But the thing with nuclear stuff is, like I said, Chernobyl often makes people think that nuclear energy is super dangerous. It's actually the
It was
safest. Yeah,
that was the problem. It wasn't the reactor.
exactly.
I mean, it was partially the design, but now we have much better design.
Yeah,
And
so
fail safes that are actually reliant.
yeah, so and fossil fuels have actually, or it's the silent killer for a reason. I think 1,500 people have died since we started recording from fossil fuels, like the health effects and stuff, and just stuff like that, and yeah, like any form of bug. But yeah, so that's something I'm gonna try and get across in my speech is that I have coming up in a couple weeks is that even though all this stuff has happened, it's still super important to try and push for nuclear energy in a safe way, in a way that Chernobyl won't happen again. We're a lot safer here. The scientist in charge, the nuclear physicist in charge that was directed in charge of figuring out what happened with Chernobyl and stuff and researching it, he learned a bunch of stuff about that and learned how unsafe it was. And we have reactor buildings here with our reactors here in the States. We have containment around them. They didn't have that in Russia. And this scientist, he researched and learned all this stuff. And then the UN had a meeting to try and learn what happened with Chernobyl. And Russia said, "We know what you did. We know what you know. Lie. Tell them what don't tell them what happened." So because it's Russia, it's like they wanted to show that communism is the way and stuff, and so they wanted him to lie. He ended up hesitating and waited, and then he spilled the beans. He told them exactly what happened. And then Russia pulled him inside, and they're one of the officers, and he's like, "All right, so here's what's going to do. We can't kill you because it'll make you look bad, but you're not allowed to talk to any of your coworkers ever again. You'll work till the day you die, and you won't do any of this. You will be imprisoned, and you will be miserable for the rest of your life just working. That's all you will do. You will have no contact with people." And so his life was basically over for telling the truth. He ended up committing suicide because of it. And it was I feel so bad for the poor guy, but it also was a necessary push because of his suicide, Russia could not ignore it anymore, and then everybody knew even more. So his suicide is what pushed them over the edge to redesign all of the reactors and make them safer and do the necessary things to make sure that Chernobyl never happens again.
Yeah. The only downside I know of, or one of the downsides I know from nuclear reactors, is the waste.
So, nuclear waste, a lot of people, like fiction depicts it as this like green glowing ooze. What it actually is it's just a mass of concrete, radioactive metal, depleted uranium, all this stuff, and it is dangerous and radioactive. But we have means of containing it and safely storing it. Now that poses the problem, kinda. Right? So there's like this theory, a couple ways we can solve that. So underground, there's a lot of space, so we can store it there. But then future generations, how do we warn them not to go in there? What's the number one way to make sure people do something? Tell them not to do it. If you tell somebody not to do something, that makes them want to do it more. Don't go in that silo over there. You don't want to. That's bad news in there. Okay, well now I kind of want to go what's in there. So another one is I've thought about flying it into the sun. So
that's impossible.
Or into space. Okay. Into that, it is ridiculously expensive. And also, what happens if the rocket explodes?
It's also very dangerous.
Yeah, what happens if the rocket explodes in the air?
Trash is already in space.
That too. We're close to trapping ourselves on this planet. Actually,
there is an insane amount of trash already. Yeah, in space
because of that, we're on the track of trapping ourselves on this planet forever because of it.
Literally, like all the time, it hits satellites. Like trash hits satellites.
All it takes is a chip of paint moving at a bit of a close to the speed of light, and it could take anything out. So, and that's why we need to cut down on even space pollution is because of that. But with flying it into space, it's not just that's the issue. It's what if the rocket explodes? Rockets explode all the time. What if a rocket explodes with a bunch of radioactive material over sky? It will spread everywhere. So that is that is the biggest task with energy is figuring out how to store it.
Yeah, well, if we could ever
But
discover fusion.
Fusion doesn't produce any
is-
waste. So that's why the breakthrough a few years ago was so big, is we've successfully made it so that we gain more energy than we put in. So the energy it takes to run the fusion reactor, we now create slightly more. Granted, currently that's enough to move a ceiling fan for a little bit. Like, it's enough to power a fan. So it's nothing huge. But just the fact that we were able to make more than we put in is proof that we can do it. And now we need to figure out, because if we could do fusion, so if we could figure out fusion, then it would basically be pretty close to free energy. And I know a lot of governments won't like that, but it's safe.
Yeah, free energy because people sell it.
Yeah.
You know,
so people
it's like water-powered cars.
Yeah,
the government didn't like that one either.
And it's not completely self-efficient. Like, it does cost money to run these things. So you will still have to pay for electricity and stuff, but it's not as profitable, which is where I'm worried about in the future of if we do figure it out. What if we, in theory, no, I don't think we have, but what if we already did figure it out? And people are trying to cover it up.
Secret?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. Like, I know there's a theory. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I do like the kind of more plausible ones. Like, what if we have the cure for cancer, but it's not profitable, so they haven't.
Yeah.
Cancer,
healthcare, like, people having diseases is so profitable.
Especially in America, where hospitals are legally allowed to basically make up whatever prices they want. And I know in Canada, where healthcare is free, a lot of the downside to that is the doctors pay because it's free, and they're doing it without you basically consenting. Most of doctors' income is actually insurance.
Healthcare is also worse, isn't it, in other countries?
I mean, yes, but no.
Since they make more money, I feel like we also have better healthcare, but it's not available to everyone. It's only available to the rich.
So that's true, but that also goes with, like, wages for the doctors and stuff and whatnot. But when it comes to healthcare, like, there's also priority in Canada. So, like, more severe patients will be seen sooner than others. So
they should be.
Yeah. So, which it makes sense, but it also sucks if you have just, like, minor injury. But I will say from experience that is a little bit blown out of proportion. Some people think, like, there's jokes about, like, you going up into a hospital in Canada with a broken foot and they just tell you to kill yourself. But if you look here, you see this scar all the way around my thumb, all the way around. When I was young, a dog bit my thumb off, and it was in Canada. And we got there in time, and they sewed it up, and it was, like, it was really affordable, and I was seen immediately. And here in the States, it would have been tens of thousands of dollars. We would have been. My mom had just recently had me. We were struggling for money because she was still a college student, medical student at that, so very expensive. If that happened here, we would have been screwed. But because in Canada it's a lot cheaper, and we were seen pretty quickly, they were able to save it. And I don't have as much mobility. Like, I don't think it goes as far back, but it saved my thumb, so I'm forever grateful for that. And not to say it wouldn't have done it here, but it would have put us in crippling debt with how much we were making. I mean, we were living in a trailer at that time, I believe, which, they wanted to put the dog down, but we did not let them. And I respect my mom's decision for that, because it was a lab. It wasn't because it was poorly trained, or because it was a house party in a tiny apartment. And this dog was shoved in a tiny cage and just stuck there. And my dumb ass crawled my ass over there and just stuck my hand in the cage to try and pet it, and it bit my thumb. It was freaking out because it was overstimulated. Yeah. And it just saw this little creature reaching in and grabbing it. Like, I 100%, I'm so glad that they didn't put the dog down for that, because
I think it's already kind of stupid that a dog can just get killed if it bites a person one time.
There are some types behavioral dogs that do need to be.
If it's aggressive too much, then But one time when the dog's been super nice, one time it bites someone, especially if it's provoked.
Yeah.
And it has to be killed. I think
that's why I think pit bulls and bulldogs, mostly pit bulls, get such a bad rap, is because I'm fairly certain they're really cheap. And they require more training.
They're genetically more aggressive.
So that's why German Shepherds are often police dogs. My grandpa raises German Shepherds, and these dogs they need to be trained well. They are bred for specific purposes, or
And
they
like you
have
said,
it
they're
built into
cheap
them. But the
dogs.
difference between German Shepherds and Pit Bulls is
Yeah.
Pit Bulls are dirt cheap, from
Yeah.
what I understand. So Pit Bulls, like trailer park people will buy them because
And they
they're
don't
the
train
most
them.
affordable dog.
They
But
don't
they
train
need a
them.
lot of training,
And
so
they're
they
guard-
don't
they're-
train
they're a
them.
guard dog.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they don't train them at all, and often they're abused because of their home life and stuff, and because they're so cheap. I mean,
That's
I'm
when they
not
become
trying to say
aggressive.
anything, but yeah, like
Yeah.
they are often abused, and that will invoke a response. And so when something happens where somebody or like a child is like hitting the dog or something and
They'll
it
bite it.
attacks her,
Nice.
then they put the dog down, and it's not really fair in my opinion because
It's how the dog was
it's
raised. It's
because
how it
yeah,
was
and
treated,
it's not
you
an
know?
issue with that. It's an like I feel like you need to be like you have to have the home like the proper home for one, and it's kind of impossible. It's in this situation where we can't really pick and choose who can and can't buy animals that much because we have so many on the loose. So where do we keep them in shelter and prison for the rest of their life, or do we give them to a family who might raise them and who might not? So it's really difficult, and that's
It's a difficult
why
scenario.
I always relate to animals a lot more than I do with humans, and I sympathize with them a lot more as well. And
You talking about overpopulation? That is why I despise like puppy farms, because they just overbreed dogs, and that's
Yeah,
their whole
so-
life is they just breed, and it's so
Yeah,
sad.
like-
I can't even believe that's a thing in the
it's like
modern world.
it's like sex
too.
slaves for dogs. It's like so we're forcing
they
them to
force
reproduce
the dogs to have sex and
for a
live in
profit.
cages.
Yeah.
It is terrible that that's the thing.
And
that
if
can-
if it's
in the
like if they're
United States.
breeding them and they're being given the proper home and they're being treated properly, then I'm
That's
fine
one
with that.
thing.
But when you're shoving them
Constant
in
breeding.
tiny cages
Yeah.
and forcing them to be imprisoned until they're bought by some rich asshole or even just given to some poor or end up on the streets and get picked up by the pound, like
It's different between being a dog breeder and then a dog farm.
Yes.
A dog farm is you just have a place and all you do is breed dogs. A dog breeder is you just happen to have some dogs and you let them breed and then you sell the puppies.
yeah.
You don't force them. To
And
breed.
I know some dogs are ridiculously expensive. I'm more of a cat person personally. They're a lot less.
Lower maintenance.
A lot less maintenance is debatable, but
I'd say
I feel
lower
like
maintenance.
they're more calming, and like I said, I'm an empath. I feel like they're really empathetic, and it does depend on the cat. I know like a lot of cats are pretty cynical,
Some of them
and
are
that's kind of
assholes.
why I love them. But and dogs are very like helpful, but I kind of get overwhelmed with them sometimes,
But sometimes
especially.
they're energetic.
Yeah, so like with cats, sure they'll be annoying and they'll just like come up and rub your like head under your arm or something and want to be pet when you don't want them to, but they don't like jump up
around,
on you
jump
or
on you,
scream in front of your face
start
or
barking at
beg
ya.
for your food as much. I mean, unless where's cannoli? Yeah, except for that.
He was
asshole.
literally eating pizza behind us.
Yeah, he was eating.
I heard him.
And
rubbing-
my Alfredo as well. That's gone. Fat ass.
Yeah, bro was
But
hungry.
yeah, so it's animals are weird, but I do want a my dream dog is a Shiba Inu, but those unless you live in Japan are pretty expensive, like upward $2,000 is like the lower end I believe because they're such a good breed, and I know they
Is it
also
what
require
size
pretty
dog?
kind of medium, like they can like that big.
What does it look like? I don't.
Do you know the Doge meme?
Yeah.
It's those.
Okay, those
Yeah,
are cool.
they're adorable.
I
them.
love Shivas. I see one on my TikTok all the time. It's
Yeah.
so cute.
They're adorable.
Like screams.
Out by PJ's house, Peyton. He's got
Clyde?
yeah, Clyde.
Yeah. Yeah, we call him Clyde here.
So out by Clyde's house, we got I've seen, especially when I was house sitting and driving to and from work from there. Somebody was walking one, and I'm like, oh my god, somebody actually has one because they're pretty rare in
Yeah,
the
they're
states
rare in
here.
the States.
Yeah,
In
they're
Japan, like you
Japan
said,
likes
they're
to
common.
keep their stuff to them. Like that's
Yeah.
why they closed off their borders and wouldn't trade with anyone. And they're like, well, maybe we should. And they're
were
not
kinda
really
forced
big,
to.
but
They were
yeah,
kinda
they were
forced to,
also kind of
honestly.
forced to
They
do
didn't
that.
They still didn't want to trade with anyone.
And even to this day, like I know, like with like Gundam the companies that make Gundam and stuff, they don't love hiring people that aren't Japanese. Like they like
That's
keeping their
like-
stuff to themselves.
Yeah, it's a just a prejudice thing.
Yeah.
Implicit bias.
Which it's the difference between that and racism, I feel, because a lot of people can be quick to judge that, is it's just how their culture is. Like, some cultures are very much, they have a high expectation, high
It's
standard.
just how their culture is, but it's also still wrong.
It's
It's
so
wrong
it's
for the culture to be accepted, for them to be like
yeah.
racist, basically.
So I accept all different types of cultures and stuff, and I enjoy learning about multiple, like, even if I don't believe in certain religions, or I do or don't like any of that, I like learning about them.
It's good to be
Yeah.
knowledgeable about things so you can understand how other people.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of like stray away from Christianity a bit. Is with Christianity, I feel like a lot of people are so insecure with their own religion that they feel like if you look at the other side or learn about the other side, and I don't mean practice witchcraft or anything, but if you look, like, acknowledge its existence, it's wrong. And I feel like in fear of you turning, and if I feel like that's a little insecure about your own religion. So I like learning about all aspects of everything. I like learning information, so I like to know both sides. When there's a story I'm hearing, I like to know both people's sides if it's a conflict. Like, I try to learn as much as possible, and that's where I always will butt heads with some people, is their beliefs and them trying to ignore that the other side doesn't exist, because it does.
About, like, religion and politics in general, is it's usually passed down from your parents. It's not something most people don't. If your parents had never told you, or no external force had told you about these things to, like, sway you a certain way in politics or religion, you likely wouldn't have gone that way.
Yeah.
Like, naturally.
So I'm really against forced beliefs, and that even goes with political beliefs. If I ever have kids, I'm not going to force my beliefs on them. I will tell them how I feel, but I'm not going to do it in a way that pressures them to agree with me. I feel like it's important to look at the facts. That's why I'm never, like, living in the States, that's why I'm never left or right. I'm not conservative, I'm not Republican, I'm none of that, or liberal, any of that. I just go off of, like, if there's somebody who is, I have dual citizenship, so I can vote. And if there's somebody who aligns with my beliefs on one side more than the other, I'll vote whoever aligns with my beliefs and priorities more. Yeah. And it's all about up to that. And I don't like labels, and I don't like labeling myself as something. And I try to look at just things as a whole. I believe in fact and reason, and I don't watch specific news sources. I get my news sources from Ground News, because it's a pretty cool station that will give you a story, and it'll tell you if mostly the left or mostly the right has covered it, and it will tell you what happened in an unbiased way. So I learn through stuff like that, and try and stay away from biases, and try and learn at both sides.
You want to learn from facts, not from opinions.
I am driven by facts, and it kind of sucks that we're kind of evolving, and this country is kind of evolving in a direction that doesn't prioritize fact and knowledge and reasoning anymore, and that kind of sits wrong with me, both as a scientist and just as a person who values seeing both sides of things. So I try and learn as much as I can about any given situation, so that I can try and be as objective as possible.
Yeah, speaking about parenting, I do agree that you shouldn't, like, force your beliefs on your kids. What you should, though, is you still have to parent them. You can't just let them run loose and let them on their tablets or phones, because they're still getting information from those devices, and it's typically bad.
And especially with the creation of generative AI recently, there's so much false information online that it's dangerous. So I went, like, parenting is a huge thing. I hate gentle parenting. People who do that is
terrible. Tablet parenting,
just might as well call it not parenting.
Yeah,
tablet parenting is terrible. Yeah, and there's way better ways to do it. And if I hear parents go, "Oh, they just won't listen," make them listen. And I'm not saying abuse your kid, because that's wrong too.
A good medium.
But there's a way to make them understand what they're doing is wrong. There's a way to help them understand and help them grow as a person. Yeah. And that's your job as a parent. And if you can't do that, then you're not ready to have kids.
Yeah, there's a happy medium between gentle parenting and obviously being abusive. You know, there's two extremes. You don't want to be on either side. You want to find a happy medium. And yeah, if your kids aren't listening to you, that's because you didn't raise them correctly. Yeah. You weren't, like, direct enough with them. You let them run wild. You let them do whatever they want. They think they are the king of their world, and you are just a part of it.
Exactly.
So you have to teach them. You know, there's supposed to be discipline, it's not discipline as hitting them. It's discipline as in taking away things they like for a period of time until they have learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Don't make them afraid of you. If your children are afraid of you, they're not going to like you. You know, and they're gonna adopt those methods for parenting when they're older because they think it's normal.
And that's how a lot of and you
That's
often
why-
parent based on your parents. And what I
Yeah.
would recommend is that you take your experiences as growing up with your parents and figure out what they did right and figure out what they did wrong and change it and do, because nobody is perfect. Like you said, there's too far on one side, too far on the other. Most things in life is a spectrum. Nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
Life is gray. And you have to kind of figure out what works best.
That's another thing.
And
Let your kids make mistakes. Don't be so strict that they can't go out and have fun. Obviously, have a limit. Like, you can't go drinking and party every single day.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, there has to be a limit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you give them more and more freedom the older they get, because you can.
With me, I'm responsible. I don't go out partying and stuff, and I know college, that's one of the things you do, and I know I probably will eventually, but I'm going to be safe about it if I do. And my mom knows this and understands this, and she knows that I have integrity and that I'm responsible. And so when I want to do something like this, where I stay with you down here in Saginaw, instead of being down where I live, then I kind of get the freedom of being able to do that whenever I want. Like, unless there's some immediate emergency or something, or she absolutely needs me down there, I kind of have the freedom to be able to do what I want. And I am an adult, so I do think that that's fair. But so it's all about responsibility. If somebody's not responsible enough to do that, then they need to show that, and they need to improve. And
I do agree with that. And it's just so bad how parenting has transformed into just giving your child a device and saying, let them learn on their own, and then you get mad from the things they encounter on the internet.
Yes.
It is not the internet's responsibility to censor what your child can see. It is your responsibility to watch your child. It is not the internet's responsibility to watch your child. So if they happen to go on a site that they shouldn't be on, that's not internet's fault. That's not big internet's fault. That's your fault. You're not watching your child. You're probably on your phone too, scrolling on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
And your kid's probably seeing some bad stuff. They're probably on Roblox talking to a 20-year-old pretending to be an 8-year-old. That's not Roblox's fault.
No.
That's not the internet's fault. That's your fault. Because you're supposed to be watching your kid. You're supposed to be monitoring the things they see. And that's why there's things you can put on their device to see what they've been looking at. So if you don't want to look over their shoulder all the time, you can still check on it every once in a while to make sure they're not doing anything necessarily dangerous.
Yeah, and that's where technology comes in. Technology is a tool. So like I said, humans are not good creatures. Our nails are dull, our teeth aren't sharp, our eyes are terrible. Shrimp have brilliant eyes, especially compared to us. We're not physically strong, we're not huge, we're not great creatures. What sets us aside is our brain and our way to adapt. So we create things and tools to adapt. And during the Stone Age, it was during the caveman era, in Stone Age, it was creating tools and stuff, and then slowly we evolved that until where we are today, like this computer we're using to record this podcast. With technology, there comes a point where it becomes dangerous. And the technology is nothing but a tool, and technology is power. And with power comes responsibility. And I feel as Aunt May and Uncle Ben said.
Yeah.
So if you're not responsible enough, or your kids aren't responsible enough to use it, you need to let them. And the whole using technology thing, that plays into where AI comes in, and why I feel like that it is such a concern that AI could, as of right now, it's not and doesn't look like it's going to, but it could theoretically become more, is we create stuff where our brains, we as humans evolve to be able to create stuff, and with AI, it will be able to do that for us. So then our ability to create, kind of like WALL-E, our ability to create and adapt, that is gone. And that's why AI is so important. I'm not going to say I haven't used AI. Sometimes if I'm stuck on something and I need pointing in the right direction, if I'm writing an essay or something, I'm not going to copy it. But if I'm I need help with this wording and give me 10 examples, and it gives me 10 examples, that's fine. But when the tool becomes the thing that is no longer being the tool, and it's the thing that is doing it for us, that is when the humans race will stop evolving. And that is why I think AI will probably, if it gets to a certain point, will be ruining human evolution.
Yeah.
Because we will no longer be able to
To-
inherit more
Yeah.
ability to adapt. Our minds are
Because
growing,
they've
our
done it for
IQs are
us.
growing over time. Yes.
Doing the work for us, so we won't continue to try to figure things out. Because
Yeah.
they'll figure it out for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we will
It
become
is
obsolete.
exactly like Wall-E, I
Yeah.
think, in a way. And it could theoretically become the situation like Wall-E, like we pollute the earth and we have to leave, you know?
Yeah, just world-ending events in general and stuff like that always fascinate me. I like learning about that, and like mirror life is another one with the how all life on Earth has the same molecular structure, and if you take that and mirror it as a virus, it becomes unrecognizable to all immune systems,
Oh,
and it can
everyone's
everything. That's
yeah.
why mirror life is theoretically could be viewed as the next nuclear weapons if created as a bioweapon, because if that gets out, there's no
Yeah,
stopping
there's
it.
no stopping. It's
Nothing,
the same
no
as your
life on
cells.
Earth could recognize what it is. It will bypass everything and be able to do. So that's why that's so scary. But just stuff like that's fascinating to me. But AI is always the biggest, not always the biggest one, but it's one of the biggest ones for me because it ruins humans' ability to evolve, I feel like.
And also, if AI can do every single job for people, there's no longer people to do jobs.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's only the people at the top who owns the AI, super rich. There's no more middle class, and it's just the lower class.
That's the fear with robots taking over certain industries and stuff, being automated, is what are people going to do? And then if these things are self-sufficient, they cost money to make, but nobody's working to make the
Yeah.
money to spend on it and stuff. Which I love seeing people say that, and then the videos of like the robot that was supposed to paint a wall and it just sprays liquid all over and then it just starts spinning in a circle. Like
Yeah.
we're not at that point, and we're
We're not
not
even
going to be
close.
for a while, as we can tell.
But it's still a
It's just
problem.
something to get ahead of the game and look out for, so that if it does happen, we can stop it before it does.
Well, the thing is, those people at the very top, they're not going to want to stop it because, you know, in the greater scheme of things, the one thing that really drives people is money. Money
Mhm.
can buy anything, basically, besides happiness, theoretically.
In
I
theory.
personally think it could, but I've never been super rich. Probably most people who are rich are not happy. I don't know. But when you're that rich, and if you don't have a super good moral code or ethics, you might say, these robots running my industries, you know, I don't need to pay workers.
Mhm.
I don't need to pay the robots. They're robots. I just have to pay for their maintenance, which is probably much cheaper than paying people.
Yeah,
wages.
so the theory with that, or the thing with that, is that robots are more reliable and easier to replace, or humans are easier
They're also
to replace,
disposable.
but
They're also
robots we
disposable.
can fix and reuse, so and repair, and they're always a changing thing. And yeah, I know like those really cool like arms that they use for, I think they use them in like automotive stuff where they like
also
move
have something
around and
like
they can do
for
that.
surgery.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, that's a
it's-
newer
it's
one.
super
That terrifies
preci-
me,
it's super
but it's also
precise.
better because humans are fallible. We make mistakes. And
Yeah, the robot
with
can do
medical
surgery.
history, yeah, as long as there's not like
Power
not like the
outage.
Therac 25 where there's a malfunction that makes it irradiate people. But
Yeah.
that was not good. But yeah, like I've had my fair share of surgery and stuff, so I know, and I do value the science behind something more precise, because maybe in a few years. So with me, this is a little personal, but I'll get into it a little bit. So this tumor, it started when I was like 1 year old, and then it's benign, but it started blocking my airway and stuff.
What's benign?
So not cancer.
Oh, not cancerous?
Yeah,
What? That's good.
malignant cancer. So it's not cancer, and we can't use radiation therapy because it could theoretically become cancer then, and lymphoma, which is one of the worst kinds.
Radiation basically does, isn't it, just to destroy the cells?
Yeah,
So,
so
that
it could
morph
alter
into
it
cancer.
into it could yeah. So we stay away from that. So I had surgery, and I have a scar going all the way around my neck here from it, where they removed it. It's called a radical neck dissection, and they took it all out, sewed me back up, and then I was good, and then they all grew back. And now they've grown back in a place crowding my carotid artery. So the risk of surgery now outweighs the benefits of it, because right now it's not
in a
life
dangerous
threatening,
spot.
and it is in a dangerous spot. It used to be much bigger and much more dangerous. A few years ago, it was almost life threatening, which is why I started We did a few things. We tried this injection into it that would shrink it, and it didn't do anything. There's too much scar tissue; they couldn't reach it. So I started this chemo pill, and it shrank it by 75%, I believe, or something like that,
Oh,
which is
wow.
crazy.
How
So
does that
it's
work?
great.
How does that even work? A pill?
I'm not entirely sure, but it focuses. Yeah, I honestly don't know on that one, but it's a lot better than having it be in your bloodstream and stuff. So I don't have. It's not like the kind of chemo where it can also develop cancer. So it shrank it significantly, but it's at that point still like cosmetically. I'd like to get it removed if possible because I like it kind of crowds my jaw here and it's not as visible, but you can still see it's there. That's why I like to hide it with my hair and stuff. But it's still like if they, since it's crowding the carotid, it's so hard to reach that if they remove it, they could strike the nerve and I could have a stroke or just flat out die. And the chances of that are very, very high. Yeah. So there's no winning there. And then if like they just remove the part here that's easy to reach, it could grow back in a worse spot theoretically. So it's best to just leave it for now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like to even remove it entirely, is it kind of like a wart where you have to remove it like every single
Yeah,
bit
so that's
of it
why
to
they
get
grew.
it
That's
out?
why they grew back. Is there's it's not a tumor. There's dozens and dozens, and there's some of them are so small and that you miss them, and they missed one, and it all grew back. So that's why it's
Hey, theoretically, if they didn't miss any, you wouldn't even have it right now.
in theory. We don't entirely understand how it works. It's a really rare. Like I have one of the rarer types, so it's not studied a whole lot, and everything I'm doing, even the chemo pill, is experimental. So it's a miracle that it works. So I'm glad. I don't believe so. I don't know, but no, none of them had it. No, this is a very, very rare tumor. There's very few people that have it.
Can you pass it on?
I don't know. I do not believe so. I think it's more of a developed condition kind of thing.
So you developed it when you were 1.
That's when at least when it started becoming noticeable. But yeah,
Is there like a thing that triggered it? You think?
I don't think so. No, I'm unsure. I don't know too much about it. I would have to ask my mom. She's a nurse practitioner, so she knows a fair amount, and she's been dealing with this long. Well, not longer than I have because she hasn't. I have had it, but
Yeah.
she's dealt with it longer than I've been able to comprehend what it is. So she might have the answers. So I can definitely look into that a bit more. But yeah.
Well, I don't know much about it either, but the one time I ever did get like a wart was from it was on my foot, and I remember how it happened. I was like running around the house, and I jumped down the stairs, and my foot like stabbed into something. And when I took it out in that spot, I grew a wart.
Was it like a blood blister then, or was it an actual wart?
It was like an actual like wart. I remember I had one like right here on my head too. There's probably scars here now. I literally just ripped it off.
Oh.
I literally just it kept coming back, and I just kept ripping it off, and it kept bleeding, and it eventually came off.
Yeah, my mom said when I got I don't remember because I was 1, but when I got my thumb bit, it was hanging on by a little thread, and I tried pulling it off. Apparently, my mom was like freaking out. I think so.
Okay, like imagine it's just like a
I have no idea. Yeah, she said it was all she said is hanging by a thread, and you can see that there's just a very small bit that doesn't have stitches all around. So maybe
it's probably a ligament. I imagine, or muscle, something
like that. Yeah.
Could you still move? Oh, you probably don't remember if you can move it.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I bet the doctor would have asked you though, because that would show you if the nerves are still attached, if you could still move it, right?
Yeah. Well, either way, it's good now. So.
You hear about the possibility that you could theoretically like brain transplant to someone?
That is theory at best. A theory at best.
I think it could be possible someday.
I would love to see what happens with that. So the thing with that, I don't actually know. So that's interesting. I'm not by any means a neurologist or anything. I don't know. So the nervous system isn't just your brain. It's brain connected to your eyes, and then all the nerves down and your spine and all that stuff.
You connect all the nerve endings, and then you
so that would be or a head transplant would be the same thing. I remember when I was younger, one of my friends said that, and was like, "They can do a head transplant." I'm like, "I promise you, they can't. Like, they can't just."
Boy, they can't live long enough. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but you can't. You're cutting off an entire head. You have to and then I don't actually know the implications of what would happen if you did have a brain transplant. If theoretically it was possible, like
the body could also reject the brain
That's
and just kill it.
that is true because it's a foreign body. That's why we have to have precautions. And like, where does consciousness come from as well? That's a huge theory. I know there's a theoretical part of the brain called the engram matrix, I believe, where your consciousness is theoretically stored, and I don't think there's any proof that it actually exists apart from it being theoretical, but maybe that's where it comes from, or maybe I don't know, like nobody actually knows where consciousness comes from. There's still a lot about the whole humans only use 10% of their brain thing is not true. Yeah, that comes from a study, an article that said we only understand 10% of our brain. And I'm pretty sure that it's increased since then, but we still don't understand much about the brain comparatively. Like, there's still so much unknown about it.
The brain is super confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's a theoretical for you. So if you could transfer your, what you were calling, consciousness to a android body, would it still be you?
It's like a Theseus's ship kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it still you? I say no, personally.
I'm not sure, honestly. It would depend on the effect, because it also defines what is a person.
Yeah, what makes you you?
Exactly. So would that transfer over?
What do you think makes you you, Spencer?
I think it's a lot of things, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I lied. I do think there's wrong answers for it, but I don't think there's a right answer.
What's your opinion on it?
People are all different is what makes us unique, and I feel like part of that is like what we look like, but I would say mostly it's your emotions, your personality, your ability to think, how
you basically be a new person.
So that's with cloning. Cloning doesn't seem, we can't do it because of ethical reasons. Cloning would not be super difficult, but they would not have, and obviously we can't accelerate aging right now, and we can't transfer consciousness, so it would just be a copy, but they could grow up to be a completely different person than you. So that's an interesting thing as well.
Yeah, we brought back the woolly mammoth. I know.
No, we're aiming for that. We brought back the dire wolf.
Oh, did we? Okay.
So those, I'm very glad that we were able to do that, and I'm also concerned. I think that these creatures, if we bring them back, they need to have the proper habitat. Why? Do you know how much money it costs to do that?
I would eat some mammoth meat. That's why.
So, do we introduce them back into the wild, or do we because mammoths were around during the Great Ice Age? Technically, we're still in an ice age now, because the definition of an ice age is a continent covered in water, or covered in ice. Yeah. So we're technically still in an ice age, but the climate that woolly mammoths existed in just doesn't exist as much. So
just throw them in Antarctica. Throw them over there.
So I mean, Antarctica, I believe, is a no man's land. No country owns it. We're not allowed to go there. So I mean, but then. So we're just spending millions of dollars on creatures and then dumping them there and having them fend for themselves. There's some ethical concerns for me, and I know ethics and science are often a debated thing, but it's animals, and I think that Jurassic World.
You learned how we figured out the insides of our bodies, learn how to do surgery.
From what? Well, experimenting on animals?
No, they did it on people as well.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure pigs have a very similar organ structure to humans, which is why we use them a lot and stuff like that. So their animal testing is definitely a huge thing, and that is definitely a lesser of two evils. That is a lot better than experimenting on homeless or people that, or just random people off the streets.
It's still cruel, but it's not as cruel.
Yeah, it's not a human rights violation, which outweighs animal cruelty a little bit.
Oh yeah, did you hear about the experiments the Japanese did, in World War II?
Which ones?
Dude, it was some crazy shit, dude.
Japan was crazy. That's why we dropped the sun on them twice.
I do remember, though, that what they did, we let them, get away with it because they gave it to us. They gave the information to the U.S., so we were like, okay, you guys are...
That does seem like a very United States thing to do.
Yeah.
We'll stop if you do that.
Well, there's a crazy amount of things we've done that probably have never even seen light of day.
Yeah, Japan was such a formidable opponent, not because of how big they are in World War II, but because of how they were. Yeah, they were just fight till death or sacrifice themselves, or it was never compromised.
They would rather die than surrender.
They were uncompromised. Yeah, so they would do, it was just all out scorched earth with them. So that's why we developed the nuclear weapon. That's why Robert Oppenheimer did. But then that introduced...
I still think that was a bad decision.
It absolutely
I feel
was.
like even if it ended the war, so yeah, but also
But it kicked off another war that has since not ended.
It's not gonna end. When it ends the war.
The end of the Cold War was the fall of the Soviet Union, I believe. But
That's
we are
the
still
technical end.
constantly
We're still in a Cold War.
Yes, but we are still constantly debating that with Russia, and now with there's the conflict with Israel and Gaza, and North Korea for a while was a huge threat in 2016. Not that they aren't anymore, but it was like an ongoing dispute between us and them. And it was all this stuff going on, and now so many countries have, and there's been denuclearization, which is good, but we still have a lot of them, and just one is too many. Like, that is game over.
Get rid of them.
Yeah, so there's melting them down. That's where the Demon Core came from. I believe it was supposed to be used as the third bomb dropped on Japan, but they surrendered after the second. First time, they didn't invoke a response because they didn't know what happened. Second time, they immediately surrendered. They were like, "All right, listen up, Emperor Sun God. You need to throw the towel in and recognize, because I don't want to lose another city."
They didn't want to. They didn't want to surrender. They literally
So we just did it again, and they're like, "All right, I give up." And immediately, just minutes, hours after that, it was. But then now we have this, so that's where the Demon Core comes in. It was going to be the third, but instead it was taken and used in scientific research, and then before eventually melted down after claiming the lives of the two scientists.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think nuclear weapons ever should have existed.
No,
and I guarantee you, I already know because I watched Oppenheimer. I'm not sure how accurate it is to actually.
It is pretty accurate.
But
Christopher.
He regretted it. Albert Einstein, as soon as he knew it was a possibility, and he didn't want it to become. That's why he didn't help with the study. He didn't want it to become a thing because he knew how detrimental it would be in the future.
Christopher Nolan will forever be my favorite director, and he did Interstellar, which was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, reason that I've gotten into astrophysics in the first place and all this stuff. He is phenomenal. Even more fictitious stuff like The Dark Knight and stuff, like all this stuff he does, and his use of practical effects is beautiful. And a fun fact about Interstellar is the black hole in that, Gargantua. It's not just accurate, it is to date the most scientifically accurate model of a black hole ever created. That led to prizes being won and actual discoveries just in the creation of that for the movie. Did they have
scientists literally work on the movie?
Yeah, it took several thousand hours to render that thing. It was so, because of how accurate it was, and it is to this day the best. And when you it led to the picture of the black hole being taken at the center of our galaxy. And with that, people were like, it's a pretty unremarkable looking photo without context. It's a blurry up, you will see the accretion disk around. It is still accurate. And there was a professor, I believe, that showed that.
Is the accretion disk the point of no return? Like once you're
That's the event horizon.
Oh, the event horizon?
The accretion disk is I believe the matter and stuff. No, light, that's the event horizon. The event horizon is where the gravitational pull, it's the line where after you cross it, the force of gravity outweighs the speed of light, so nothing can escape. And there's a law that nothing can be faster than the speed of light in a vacuum. So there's no way to get out of that. And so we don't actually know what's inside of a black hole. There's theories of the singularity, but we will never know, at least with current technology. Yeah, that's the theory with that. The accretion disk is the disk of superheated matter and stuff that's floating around it, and the reason it looks so cool like it does, and where you see it bend up and around the hole, is because that thing you're seeing above and around it is the disk on the other side. So it's what the black hole actually is in the accretion disk. It's like a normal planet. So imagine a planet in like Saturn, the rings orbiting around Saturn. What the black hole is it's bending light, so you're seeing the ring from the other side being bent up. So that's where that cool effect comes from.
Yeah. Isn't it theorized that the middle of a black hole is just super condensed matter? Yeah,
so that's the singularity, which is theoretically infinitely dense, which is impossible to comprehend as well.
Yeah, it's impossible to comprehend anything infinite.
Yeah.
Everything we deal with isn't.
Just wait till you get to different size, because not all infinities are created equal. There are some infinities that are bigger than others. There's countable infinites and incountable infinites. I don't really know how to explain it very well, but countable infinites are infinites that you can assign an integer, and there will always be an integer for it. Incountable infinites is where there will not be, and no matter what you assign, there will always be one bigger than what you can. I don't really know how to describe it. I'll need to look that up and look into it more, but that's countable and incountable infinities.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder how far we could get from our universe, maybe
From our galaxy or
from our
planet.
galaxy.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have the Voyager spacecraft. We have very few things.
Couldn't we theoretically go through a wormhole? Like
So we have never seen a wormhole. There's
they
no
real?
proof that they exist.
Why do you
There's
think they
science
exist?
to think that they could. But with that, if they do exist, the theory is the moment matter passes through it, it closes. So that's where you would need antimatter to.
I forgot about it.
So basically, you put it in, and the wormhole closes in on it. So you'd need a force pushing out to keep the wormhole open. So that's where that stuff comes into play with. I don't remember antimatter or whatever it is, but stuff like that. But yeah, and dark energy is another weird one.
That's
dark
weird.
matter. We don't know what that is. Like we describe it as dark matter and dark energy, but that's just a name we give it because we have no idea what it is. Like there's the Great Attractor, where our galaxy is one of many galaxies being pulled towards one giant thing, and we don't know what that giant thing is. And it's just a giant void, from what I believe. And or that's like the Great Nothing, and it's a giant void, and just space with nothing in it. So no stars, like there's very little things in it. So that's where dark energy is stuff that we can't see, and it theoretically makes up more than 98 even percent of the universe. We don't know. Dark matter is just so. There's a phenomenon where universes or galaxies are kept together and spiraling, but they are rotating around the supermassive black hole, but they're not big enough to keep a galaxy close together, like how the sun orbits, or how Earth orbits the sun.
Yeah.
It's not big enough for the entire galaxy to be moving around that. So there's something keeping the galaxies together that we don't know yet. And that's where dark matter is. Dark energy is that the universe's expansion is speeding up faster. Instead of so like with an explosion, like let's say a wave, you drop something in water, and the waves, they happen and then they slowly die out because they lose energy the farther they go. So when they lose energy, they slow down. But with the universe, it's expanding, but it's not slowing down the expansion until it stops.
Yeah.
It's speeding up, and we don't know why. So that's what dark energy is, theoretically, is we don't know why that's happening.
Okay. Well, we would speed up, and then eventually we'd go so fast that it would have to get to the end of something.
Yeah.
We just don't know what the end is.
Or unless it's infinity. So what if there's
we can't
up
comprehend infinity anyway.
So that's where we get into the depths of the universe and how the universe might end.
That's when there's no more entropy, right? When nothing else can
react
with anything else.
There's one of the deaths of the universe is everything approaches absolute zero,
Yeah,
0 degrees Kelvin.
That's what I was thinking.
Everything stops moving. There's one where black holes become the only remaining body, and then they slowly die out due to Hawking radiation. Because one of the things with black holes is they eat information, and information cannot be lost, is a rule of the universe. Information is always transferred. It can never be created nor destroyed. With black holes, we don't know where it goes, which is a plot hole, literally a hole. So we don't know what that is. With Hawking radiation, and obviously came up with by Stephen Hawking, it's little bits of the black hole just kind of coming out and just until it's slowly evaporating until there's nothing left. So black holes do shrink over time. So with the black hole theory or universe is black holes will eat everything will die out, and then slowly the black holes will vaporize from Hawking radiation until there's nothing left.
What's in the radiation?
I don't actually know. It's just matter.
Well, the matter wouldn't be gone then. It would still be dispersed through radiation, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that's what I don't actually know. I'll need to research that.
There would
Like I
still be
said, I'm
things in
only
the
a
universe.
I'm only a freshman of college, so.
Because then that matter would eventually conjoin, and then that's how everything's made.
But it's such a
Bang
small
all over
amount.
again.
But yeah, that's another theory, is that the universe could collapse in on itself and then into an infinitely dense point again, and then Big Bang happens again, and then that's the life cycle of the universe, where it just gets bigger and then it collapses and then it comes back again.
Is the Big Bang even a real thing?
We don't
Do
know.
we know if that's even a real
No,
thing?
it is a theory, which means it has not been proven. So that's where a lot of stuff. So we found recently.
Why do we even think that's what happened? Like,
Because we can look kind of and see what happened, and so like the universe is expanding, so we could see that it came from a point. So it's basically just a theory that of how everything began, and we thought it began at a certain point, but we now think that it had to have happened much earlier, because we found a galaxy of a certain size so far away from where we think it originated that dates it before the Big Bang even happened. So galaxy can't form before Big Bang happens. So we have to push that back a bit. So it's still a changing thing,
even if it
and
did happen,
theories
it
always
happened
evolve.
before you thought it happened?
Yeah, so that's a relatively newer thing. Is we have to, so
When did
yeah.
we think it happened?
I'm not sure. A long time ago.
Yeah.
The cosmic dates. I'm really bad when it comes to time, so I can't tell you like even dates of things recently. Like my brain works with numbers, but for some reason time and dates just break for me. Like a couple years ago, I was like, yeah, when Abraham Lincoln was around in 1920. Nope, I'm
crazy.
almost 100 years off actually. So
the whole concept of time is trippy in general.
yeah.
Like, doesn't time move differently depending on gravity, right?
Yes, actually. So when you approach black holes, time slows down significantly. So that's where like the time is relative as well. So like that scene in Interstellar. So you've seen Interstellar.
Oh yeah.
You know when they're on the water planet, and one of my
faster.
favorite aspects of that is while they're on that planet, because it's so close to the black hole it's orbiting, time is warped. And in the background, the music track of that planet, you can hear a ticking every, I think, 1.25 seconds. That every tick is a year that has passed, or maybe a day. I don't remember, but it's a certain amount of time. Like I said, I'm bad with time. I'm pretty sure it was a year, but it was, or no, it was a day. Yeah, it was a day. So every one of those clicks is one day that passed on Earth. Yeah,
he wouldn't have years.
Yeah, he would not. No, he did, but they were just there for a long time. I don't remember. I'll need to rewatch.
Maybe it was months every second.
Months, weeks. It was something. I'll need to look that up too. I'm a bit dusty on some of my knowledge of this stuff, but that's one of my favorite aspects of that, or parts of that movie. So time actually moves differently depending on mass of stuff and displacement, because it warps that too, just like light. And
could it move differently for just the person who's there in relation?
It's all relative, so it depends where you are, and that's why when he comes back,
like, could you yourself age slower if you're on a planet with like lower gravity?
That's so. Like, do you mean like compare?
Like
let's say
your cells aging.
So that is not how that. So that's different. Our bodies age because of a lot of things, environmental factors, imperfect cell replication, I believe, stuff like that, and we don't actually know a lot of the cause for it. So there's certainly some things that could speed it up, but it's not like you would age 20 times fast. Like, it's such a small amount. People are just destined to age a certain amount, and we've drastically improved the life expectancy of people.
It's kind of crazy though. Then if you're at a planet next to a black hole, a second is a year on Earth.
Yeah, so time is all relative, and yeah, the unfortunate part of wormholes being, as of right now, nothing more than fiction is. It is pretty much our only way of exploring the cosmos, unless we can figure out a way to travel faster than light, which would break physics.
Faster than light?
Yes. Even traveling light. Even traveling at light. We've gotten things at light speed, and I believe we've actually moved particles faster than light in water. And that's because water is not a vacuum, so it's mass. It's a thing. So light does have a finite speed, and we can't travel faster than that in a vacuum, and that's where
space is a vacuum. That's the problem.
Yes. So that's where we need to come up with like but then there's like teleportation, but we don't know how that
basically a
works.
wormhole.
It's a wormhole, and the only other way to do that is maybe like, what if you deconstruct a person from all their molecules and then rebuild them at a different spot? Are they the same person?
No.
Will they know the same things? Will they? Yeah. So
They're not the same person. They do know all the same things.
well, yeah. So, but we would have to figure out how to rebuild nerves and neurons and synapses and all this brain stuff, and figure out how to
Even
rebuild
if that was
memories.
possible, I would not go through one
No.
because I don't think I'd be the same. I think the person I am right now would be gone.
Yeah.
There would be a new version of me who thinks they're me, but it wouldn't be me.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what cloning would be as well. If we could, like, let's say we could clone you as you right now. There's another version of you.
They're not. Yeah, but they're
That's-
not actually me.
yeah.
Like I'm looking at them, and they're me, but they're not me.
So then, in time, you guys would grow to become different people.
Yeah, because we have different life experiences.
Yes. So that's a whole lot of this kind of stuff. Also fascinates me, theoretical physics and just theories in general. But yeah,
It's like twins, kind of.
Yeah.
They're the same like genetic structure, but they have different life experiences, so they're different people. And this is what I was gonna say about aging. There was like one twin who went up to space and one who stayed on the
Yeah,
planet.
the twin
and their
theory.
bodies were different ages.
yeah. That's because the faster you travel, the closer to speed of light, and stuff like that. The time moves differently, and so on Earth it would be a lot more. You would be moving a lot faster, basically, in time. So when they come back, they would be younger than you would be on Earth.
Yeah. So it's pretty weird
Yeah.
how that works. You also gotta exercise a lot. In space, 'cause there's not
Yeah,
really
so if we
places to move.
did colonize Mars, which is stupid unless we do it for the reason of we can, because there's a debate
I
that
think we should.
there's two. I think we should, but only for the reason that we can. I don't think
think
we
we
should
should
do
do
it in to save the species, because nobody. Well, let's say we cut 8 billion people in half. We put 4 billion there, 4 billion here.
Helps.
There's an asteroid coming for Earth. Are 4 billion people gonna watch another 4 billion people die to a rock? Probably not. Also, it would be way cheaper to just deflect the asteroid, and there's ways of doing that are tricky, especially based on the size. But it is possible. That wouldn't do much, actually. And if
else
we
could it
could,
do?
if you would. If we did nuke an asteroid, we couldn't do it on the surface. We'd have to find a way to dig all the way into the center of it and then blow it up from there. Because
Yeah, it's like a
in a
drill
vacuum,
mine.
it loses a lot of its thing. And
Oh.
yeah, so we would have to do it in the center of it. But that's also landing on top of something moving like that and also drilling into it. It
Wasn't
takes
there like a
time,
close
money.
call with an asteroid like in 2012 or something?
Yeah. Oh, no. So 2012 was theoretically going to be people.
Aztec calendar.
Yeah, the Aztec calendar ending. So people were like, "Oh shit, we're all gonna die." Some big event almost did happen, and that is the sun released one of the biggest
Oh, solar
CMEs.
flare?
Yeah,
The solar
coronal
flare?
mass ejection. So the sun just shoots electromagnetic shit at us, which would fuck up our electromagnetic fields. That would stop all technology,
Yeah, there-
and it would have wiped out all technology on Earth. And we missed it by 6 days because it hit the exact location Earth was in 6 days prior, I believe. So when that happens, it's been a debate how long exactly it would take society to rebuild or to get that working again, because it doesn't just shut off power. It's not like, okay, get the generators back up. Any technology is no longer usable. So we'd have to do that, and it would take weeks to decades. So it's a very huge time gap that is theorized of what it could be, but
Could
it's
that happen just any time?
yeah,
with the
and
sun?
I don't think we have great ways of detecting it yet either.
Yeah.
So
'Cause-
yeah, so there's that. We're getting another visitor from another universe or galaxy, actually, or at least outside of our galaxy, a comet, or we think it's a comet. Some people think it's a UFO, but a Muamua or whatever.
wouldn't know
What's
if
its
it's a
technical
UFO.
term? The reason people think is because it's a weird shape, mostly, but also because it's passing between planets that would make the date it passes the most optimal to observe Earth. So, like, if it was aliens to come and
that's
pass
kinda
by and
odd.
observe Earth, that would be the perfect spot for them to see us because of the way they're aligned. And the other reason is because it changed direction. And I'm not saying it turned around like that. I mean, it was going this way and then it started going like that way. And it could be a comet where,
Is that
and so
possible?
usually there's a trail with comets and stuff. And that could be like some gas or water leaking, and that could have changed the direction. But there's we can't really see that, so we don't know.
A sudden change like that is kind of odd.
It wasn't. It's not such a drastic change that it's like, yeah, it just completely turned.
Yeah, it goes like this.
It didn't do a Yui in the universe to come say hi to Earth, like.
Yeah.
But it's also coming pretty close to Earth, so that's just some reason people think it's aliens. And I keep seeing this stupid. Another reason I hate AI, generative AI news headlines of, "Oh my God, the rock about to pass by Earth in 2036 or whenever it's coming." It's not what you think, except it's exactly what people want it to be, which is alien. It's not. And then it's like a generative structure thumbnail where it's got the rock and it's got like a little space station on the rock, and I'm like, no, stop. It's not. So that's where I don't like AI alone generating stuff, yet alone generating news, and especially if it becomes believable. There will be a point, I believe Neil deGrasse
episode would be called. Did a call for action to have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Talk about this type of stuff. Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome. I love the man. He's a little wacky in some of the things, but I have mad respect. Yeah, I really enjoy listening to him. But I'm pretty sure he said that the day that generative AI can make news that's believable, the people who believe in fake news will no longer believe that the fake news is real or the AI. So it's just this whole thing. I forget what exactly he said about it, but yeah, if AI can create news, then that's where it can start controlling what we think. And
yeah, it's propaganda. So they can definitely do that. Anyways, I think we gotta wrap up here.
Oh boy.
Or Handburger.
Not this again. I remember this in high school. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's the Hooligans classic question.
You
gotta answer it, yeah. And there's only one right answer. Orion proved it because he never lies.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
really?
He never lies.
Handburger.
Correct.
Really?
Round of applause, yeah.
Wow, smartest man on the podcast. So no, I'm kidding.
Handburger's correct.
All right.
And then there's one more question. So, do you know, what's it called? Chuckle sandwich?
A little bit. I haven't listened to it.
We're making our own chuckle sandwich, but it's a hooligan.
So what is it?
So it's like a person. It's like a hooligan. We're going to make a hooligan. You can become a part of it. So far, we have 3 parts. Orion's the eyes. Just don't mess with the eyes. I think he made them pink or some shit. I don't know. I did the hair. I did the pompadour. It's black. Fenton did the penis. It's charred.
Oh, boy.
So what part of the hooligan would you like to be? It can be clothing. It can be a body part. Whatever you want. But just don't make it something on the inside. Make it, unless it's like, I guess, somehow showable on the outside. I don't know. Just try to make something that you can see.
All right. What about the mouth?
That's fine.
All right.
What do you want the mouth to look like? Is just the lips or like the teeth as well?
Teeth.
The teeth? Okay.
We'll do fangs. Like vampiric fangs.
Okay. And you want them like pearly whites or yellow? What color teeth?
We'll do yellow.
Okay. Like how dark yellow are they? Just like
tinted teeth, like a bit more on the yellower side, but
okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I hope
thanks for having me.
Hooligans enjoyed. We got Spiteman. You guys have been asking for Spiteman to come on for a while.
I don't think anybody has ever asked for me in my life, but
well, you guys really all got introduced on the Oregon Trail episodes, because that's when we mostly talked about you, besides in the first episode as well. And we've been like being asked to do interviews.
Okay.
So
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Hopefully you guys like it. We'll have another guest for the next episode. It'll be I don't even think we have a nickname for him, but Monster Fire is what we call him. So you guys can look out for that. Anyways,
stay metal.
See y'all later. Thank you for listening to the Hooligans podcast.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please consider giving us a 5-star rating.
Leave a comment so we can hear your thoughts.
If you'd like to help the podcast, spread the word, recommend us to your friends.
Gooner Gang,
stand up.